Call the meeting to order for Monday, July 22nd at 6:32. Select board meeting for Bristol. New agenda for additional removal or adjustments to items per one BSA.
Yes, please. We have a request to include a leave of absence request from fire department. Also, I have a loan document that needs to be executed designating, and I'm proposing that Sharon be designated as the authorized signer for the Pine Street waterline loan. And also adding another grant authorization request form for using the hazard mitigation funds for Briggs Hill Road.
Okay, why don't we put that under 1A? After we talk about Briggs Hill, we'll put that.
Or down after,
Or after the
like
grants.
8A
8A.
or 9A or something like that.
Okay, well, you've got two grants. You want.
Three, yeah,
Three, so you want to call one of them 8A is Briggs Hill?
sure,
Hill grant?
sure.
And what about, you had a 9A for
For the authorization, the
Sure.
loan document
loan doc
authorization.
for water line for Pine Street, right?
Correct,
You want to do 9A for that?
sure.
Is that what you want to do, or you want to do another grant? You had you said two grants?
Well,
in
there's
all?
additional one for Briggs Hill, and that can be added to the grouping of the other ones later in the agenda.
Okay,
Yeah,
8A.
8A, yeah.
Yeah,
And then what's the next one though?
so the authorization can be 9A, I guess.
Okay. That's the
Loan authorization,
loan off document.
yeah,
For Sharon.
sure, yeah.
And then you have one more grant, right?
No,
Leave of absence for a firefighter.
Oh, that's right.
Leave of absence.
Leave
request.
out, we'll put that at 10A.
Okay.
Oh, well.
We can't do that like sooner if,
Doesn't matter.
well, no, so
He's not.
Brett's not gonna be on.
No.
Okay.
So we got a letter.
Okay.
No, he's got training tonight.
10A.
Okay.
Is that right, 10A?
Okay,
And it-
anything else to add, Valerie? That's it?
Not that I know of unless something pops up.
Overview of the Zoom meeting operations and procedure, rule participation, salute to microphone, recognized by the chair, et cetera. Public forum, anybody? Nothing? Everything quiet up the notch to me? Everything else? Okay, good.
I don't
Department
know- I
head
don't
round
see-
table?
I don't see anybody on.
Okay, we'll move
Zoom.
right along. Couldn't be a long meeting. Consider
Who's
update.
the
It's related.
Phone there, the two phones.
Don't know.
Don't know.
Who's wrong? They would chime in if they wanted to speak.
Consider update on Briggs Hill Road slope failures and consider options and recommendation for repair. From Du Bois and King and GEO Design. You guys are up.
Yeah, thanks. Will you be sharing?
Yep, I can do that.
Okay.
Come join us at the
Yeah.
table.
With the tippy chairs. Yeah, be careful. Bing.
Okay. We have one like that at home that we call a heart attack chair.
Break your back.
Oh,
So
that's
I-
not it. Okay.
I host- No,
Yeah, you can.
I need you to meet me at house.
don't hurt yourself.
Oh, there. Itty bitty laptop screen.
Mhm.
Let's see.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, but I'm not seeing
Why
it
is it not?
here. Yeah. That's
There it is.
just the right one.
Yeah.
Did you ignore them? No, he signed them.
No, I didn't get these. I didn't see them. Oh, they were
You
on
didn't
these.
go past the first
Okay,
page.
okay.
Alright.
All right, who are you chaps?
John Ashley from Du Bois and King.
Nice to meet you, John.
Jason Goodeye with Geodesign.
Okay, fantastic.
So we've been working together on this design. What Valerie's got on the screen are the existing conditions. We've done survey and wetland delineation and all the background mapping work in the two slide areas. We call the one that's further up the hill, we're calling that the upper slide area on the right, and the lower is on the left. The two slides are different.
Can you see the lower one from Lincoln Road?
You can.
Yeah,
But you have to know
It's
really
not-
where you're
yeah,
looking.
it's not
Okay, because
really-
I know you can see the upper one.
It's
Yeah.
not the same type of
Okay.
slide as the upper one. The soil hasn't, the road is just slumped. The
Okay.
soil hasn't gone.
Okay.
Or
Yeah.
at least it hadn't the last time. I was there.
yeah. There's not as much obvious exposed or
okay.
eroded soil like on
The road
the
is
upper
just
one,
gone.
Mhm.
but
Okay.
it's more noticeable when you have to drive by.
Drive it, right, yeah.
Yeah. So they are a little different. We could get into the details of that, but basically it's not as steep of a slope below the lower one. And, simplifying a lot. Not as steep below the lower one, it's not as high. The upper one is very over steep and more challenging to deal with. But we're proposing similar solutions. I guess, yeah, you could jump ahead to the next one. So that's the lower section. The gray section in the road is the section that would be rebuilt as part of the project. We'll go into some of the details there. The dark lines around it are the areas right now where we're showing the grading being changed for the project.
Maybe here.
That is the bottom extent of the slope repair below it.
Mhm.
You can see how close together the contour lines are above that versus below that. It gets more moderate. That's why you can't see it as well from Lincoln Road, because there's a bit of a setback before it gets to the steep part on the lower section. And the gray band in between the road and all of that is where we would have a retaining wall, not along the whole length of it, but that's a section where we would have a retaining wall to help us with the grading. And then the two dashed lines going across the road are the proposed culverts and the existing culverts.
So you're saying you leave the existing and just add another one, or you're saying?
We'd replace the
You
existing
replace it,
culverts.
just-
Part of what we want to do with the culverts is, we want to have a catch basin at the inlet side of the culvert. So that instead of the culvert being like this under the road, it'll drop. And so the water coming out of the culvert will be at a lower velocity.
Mhm.
Which is part of what caused the slope failure here. The water coming out at such a high velocity eroded the slopes. So part of what we've done with our drainage design, and we still have to do the modeling that FEMA has asked for, but part of what we've done is to add a catch basin at the inlet so that those are less steep, lower velocity water coming out. And then there's stone at the outlet of it. So both the culverts would be replaced just because we're doing that for one thing. And then we have to check the sizes, but we've got, I think, what are the right sizes is in
So
here.
if you put a catch basin on the top, are we gonna run into the same problem that we kind of have at Mountain Street where all the leaves and sticks and everything cover it, and then all the water goes over the top of the road anyway?
Right, closet.
Catch basin inlets need
Okay.
maintenance. And I don't know
So
if,
I just-
yeah, probably the open culvert inlet right now. I don't think that plugged during the storm because we
No.
had so much water coming out, that wasn't the problem.
Kind of flush
No,
this out.
no, I get that. That's just
Now,
one of
I've
those.
seen domed, covers.
Yeah,
Are they more effective at keeping
well,
stuff out?
there are a lot of options on catch basin inlets that we need to look at. We haven't done a lot with that yet.
Yeah, they can leave the upslope open, you know, not necessarily a grade, there would still be a grade on the top, but there'd be a hole in the upslope.
It's true. Yeah.
So that the water can get in.
Basically have a little side inlet into
Right, it'd be just
Into
like,
the
it'd be.
riser
just
section.
s-
Yeah.
It's like the one on
typical- It'd
Mountain
be
Street.
similar to the way the culvert is now, only it would be going in there and dropping.
Yep. Yep.
Didn't mean to sidetrack you though.
No, it's good thoughts. And then as an overview, this is the top section. There's a lot more grading needed to catch up on this one before we can get to where we're comfortable with how stable the slope is. And the eroded part in the middle where the patching is, that was just from the original survey, and that's bigger now than it used to be. What's happened over time here is that because the outer edge of the road has slumped from that initial erosion, in the events you've had since then, when water's coming down the road, that's a natural spot for it all to go to. So you're getting more drainage there than you used to have as a result of the original failure. And it's adding to the problem.
And, and the longer this goes, the more that's going to continue to happen.
Yep,
So this grading that you have right here, that doesn't go all the way down to Lincoln Road, right?
right.
Okay.
But it's
I mean,
closer.
it's all come down to Lincoln Road, but you don't have to grade that far down.
You mean rocket?
I'm just saying,
Right,
I mean, they're just talking about
Right.
grading. I don't
Not
really
all
know
the
what
way
that
down.
means, so.
It's,
Yeah, that
I
wash comes
actually wish-
down about 50 feet, so it looks like
Okay.
they're coming down about 100 feet now.
yeah,
You've got
And
some profiles.
I wish I had changed this viewport so you could just see the edge of the
The
road
edge
and
of
then
the
would
road.
have that distance.
Okay.
I thought of that as I was looking at them
Mhm.
on the way here too. But thinking about how helpful that would be for you guys to see, and here you are agreeing with me.
Given the slide material that's already crossed Lincoln Road.
Right.
At least twice that we're aware of,
Mhm.
there would be some additional maintenance, I guess, that would have to be done at the toe, below where those grading limits are shown.
Like down by the road.
Yeah, so that, if you just scroll back to that, that's the limits of the rock repair. But you're right that below that, we would have cleanup and probably erosion control matting and topsoiling and
Mhm.
maybe not topsoil, but something, and with erosion control matting to get it back to stable once we've,
Mhm.
and that's the limits of the stone repair. So work would be happening outside of that too, just to build that. So these are section views of both of them.
Is this the lower
The
slide?
lower is on the top of this
And
view.
this is the upper.
Yep. And the dashed line, this is another view, just looking at this, if the side of the hill was just in section, and so that you can see that the dash fence looking line is the limits of the grading below them.
This one.
Yep, that line is the limits of the rock repair
Mhm.
below them. The brick looking patch is the retaining wall. We need that to make a slope geometry from the grading lines at the bottom, the stone repair line at the bottom, up to there needs to be a maximum of one, we're 1.5 on one from there up
Right.
on the upper section.
So jump in a little bit. The purpose for the walls, like John is getting at, is that we can't install new soil or rock materials at a stable enough slope to get back up to the roadway. The slopes out there today are steeper than what we would normally engineer or repair for. A stone riprap is typically installed no steeper than a 1.5 horizontal to 1 vertical. And that's pretty steep if you're standing at the bottom looking up at it. Soil slopes, vegetated soil slopes, we can typically go up to a 2 horizontal to 1 vertical. And that simple geometry we were trying to incorporate into these solutions. A lot of solutions that we come up with, we don't even need a wall. We know it's complicated, we know it adds cost to the project, but we will only include a vertical element like that where we need to, and in this case we do. So on the lower portion, the lower slope repair, John had mentioned earlier that the slopes are a little bit flatter there. They're actually closer to a 2-on-1. And what we are trying to do is grade the new work to match that existing slope below the wall. And it's an area that we are not requiring stone fill, because we can flatten it a little bit more, revegetate it, and and construct the wall above that. The upper slope, because it's steeper, we do require stone fill. And Valerie, I think these are the sections that you're showing here now.
I'm
This
trying
is
to see, am I right?
the upper slope.
Correct.
It's the upper, cause
which
it's the
has a
stone.
This is the
significant
upper,
amount of
yeah.
stone
Yeah.
fill. And that's drawn to scale at a 1.5 on 1 slope. And really the limits that John is referring to downhill, we're only going as far as we need to. We don't want to disturb anything more than what's necessary, and that's what's already been disturbed.
Did you
So the goal
already
is to
mention,
blend into the existing grades.
did you already mention lowering the road? The road?
No, we didn't mention that yet, but this is a good section to look at it in. This is in the upper section, going at 1.5 on 1. We have a maximum of a 6-foot wall, and when you project out at 1.5 on 1 and make up that distance with the wall, it only gets us so high, so the road is being cut down also to make that geometry work.
The road grades are gonna be lowered here throughout
That
this section.
through the upper section, the road profile comes down.
That's what's being proposed anyway.
And you can see on the right of it that it makes us need to catch up on the back slope above the road as well. We haven't done as much design on that yet. I also have it on my mind that if we have a lot of cobbles and boulders from this cutting down of the slope, which I think we will, we could cut down on the amount of back slope grading by using those along the outer edge of the ditch to make up some grade, which is a simple cobble wall to gain a little bit of elevation on the outer edge of our ditch, and then not chase it as far up the slope. We don't want to disturb above the road more than we have to either.
Now, one of the things that either of these approaches, the upper and the lower, are all of this, most of this work is outside of the right of way.
Yes,
So we will need to come up with some form of either easement or some other arrangement with the property owners to do this work and maintain this work going
It's
forward.
all the same property owner.
I believe so.
To John's point, in case anyone doesn't know, one of the first things we did was drill holes, drill borings below Briggs Hill. And we attempted to get the depth of, or the height of this slope. That's typically the information we would use to model and do our slope stability for. The soils here are extremely dense. The natural soils are extremely dense glacial deposits. So it's not unusual that they're being eroded on the surface, but we're not looking at a deep-seated problem. looking at sort of more surface erosion.
It's not groundwater creating our issues.
No, in fact, groundwater is very deep on the slope. And I think it's, especially this last event that we went through, the amount of water that's coming down the road and washing across the road, eroding from the surface, I think is the primary cause. What's happening now is that the movements are accelerating because more soil is being exposed. So it's progressively worsening. And with every rain event, I would expect more movements to occur.
So as I'm scrolling through all of these different plan sheets, what are they each representing? They don't look all that much different.
Yeah, they're all 50 feet apart, so they aren't
So there's
drastically
cross
different,
sections
or 25 feet apart,
going
sorry.
down, okay.
What is your,
The wall's getting taller there.
Yes,
what is the wall gonna be, blocks or what?
The current design is a ready rock wall. It's a proprietary type concrete block wall. They're typically,
It's what the walls are by the Chittenden Bank or People's Bank.
Oh, okay, those.
Yeah.
they're sort of like Lego
I had to
blocks.
catch it, I think it's M&T now. I
It's
had to-
M&T.
Somebody said a bank name the other day and I had to look it up and,
Used to be People's.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I still think of it
Built
as,
it.
I still think of it as Chittenden for sure. And I knew it was 2 letters and somebody was asking where there was a TD bank.
And there was,
I thought,
at one time, there was
M&T.
talk of sheet piling.
Yep.
Is that not acceptable or?
That-
To go.
It would have to be anchored.
Right, so there's a couple of issues with sheet piles. That may have been brought up early on after we finished drilling, and because of how dense the soils are,
Mm.
I do not envision a contractor driving sheets to that material. They wouldn't be able to drive. They refuse on the big boulders and the dense soil.
Oh, okay,
It'd be very difficult. And even if they could get to a certain depth, they wouldn't get enough of a toe that it would need to be anchored, drilled back and anchored, and that's just
Pour
adding
a
a lot
wall.
of
What they
cost.
did was dig down and pour a wall. And then run anchors out to the sheet piling pole, but
okay, I was thinking about,
backfill in between. That's what they did up on Sixth Mall.
did they go back?
Yeah, they dug all the way down the backside of that road and poured a wall and anchored the sheet pile to that wall.
Okay,
There are other wall solutions that we have not looked at, but, and the reason is we've tried to keep this as more of a conventional earthwork type solution, because they're generally cheaper than, you know, drilling piles and installing some
Okay.
type of lagging and that sort of thing. They can get more complicated.
and I think I misspoke on the wall height, it's up to 10 feet.
Yes.
It was originally
Yeah.
10 feet. I
Yeah.
was surprised when it shrunk.
Yeah, sorry about that.
It is up to 10. In fact, I think a couple of sections it may max out at 12 feet.
Yeah.
So 6 blocks high, about 2 feet high each.
We were trying to keep it to 10.
And that's a good point about lowering the grade, that upper section that shows the dashed line where the original grade is. The reason for lowering the grade here is you can see how tall the wall would have had to be.
yeah,
Another 6 feet.
Right.
Yeah.
And at that point, a wall of that height no longer becomes just a regular gravity wall. It needs other reinforcement, some geogrids and other things like that, that we were trying to avoid. So lowering the road, if it's possible here.
but does it, I get that concept, but the top of the hill doesn't change and the bottom of the hill
Right.
doesn't change. If you
Yeah.
lower the middle, you're gonna have another steep part. Are we
Mhm.
creating another
Right there.
steep part for later on to be trouble? You follow what I'm saying? The very top of, where the first house is, way at the top of that hill, and the River Road or Lincoln Road. Those two elevations aren't gonna change, but in the middle, we've shrunk the road down, is that,
Yeah.
where's the next steep spot, I guess?
There is a point where we just tie into the existing, probably if you go back to really early in the sheet set, I think we had our road profiles there.
You're just making it a longer hill is all you're doing.
Yeah, okay, right by Brian's, young Brian's place,
You're way before that.
way before that.
So where you know where the knob is, where the seat part of the knob is.
Yeah.
You just spin out, that knob.
That's
is gonna
probably
push
good.
More towards
Back to the.
where
one you were
the
just-
Next one
wash,
down,
where the
yeah.
slope started.
Are we gonna cut in, where we saw the upper slope and the lower slope? Oh, are we gonna cut into that corner? Oh,
Hmm.
are we gonna cut into that corner where the lower and upper slope is?
So on this, this is the upper, section and the, points where we tie in are here. And, I mean, it says here, but it may be uphill from there, but you could see that the existing road profile is kind of a bulge there. And we are taking that out and just catching up. So we're not steepening this and we're not making other sections where it's, you know, there's actually a little bit of that wasn't really a key part in our design. It was all the geometry driving that, but it happens that if you just run that road profile out, there actually is a kind of a bulge there where this upper slope failure is that we're taking down.
And you are right, this is really the only area along the road that this is possible to do. Anywhere else, lowering the road would
Yes.
steepen the uphill portion and it
Yep.
would make things worse.
Yep.
In this section, that uphill portion does flatten out quite a bit,
Okay,
so it allows us to
so the
make
upper
that
side,
slope.
I call it the north side, won't slide into the ditch.
That's right.
What next?
We've put together a cost opinion, it's hot off the presses this afternoon. We still have to break out for FEMA and have discussions with FEMA, we haven't done that yet, but you guys have it here first tonight. Total estimated cost is just over 2.4 million. We have a recent, pretty similar situation on a very high side-by-side large slope failures in Highgate that we were to compare it to and going into it that, and I believe what I had heard, that's not a project I worked on, but the size and it's definitely a similar situation, and theirs is under construction right now, it's 2.5 million. So this is probably in the right range, based on that simple look. And this is working through the quantities using V-Trans unit pricing for all of the pay items. And
And this is just for materials. This isn't for,
so this is constructed,
Construction and completion,
Okay.
to
Yeah.
completion.
yeah, this is installed materials.
okay.
Yeah.
Including equipment operators and stuff like that.
Yeah. So an important next step is to start going through this with FEMA. I know before we have those conversations, they want this broken out into what's putting back the existing and what's something different, which they call mitigation. And they're gonna pay for those out of different pots. And Valerie and I have to work on that now.
Right, and related to that, Frida and I have had very frustrating conversations with the FEMA folks. Initially, a year ago, we were told that the mitigation is 100% funded.
Is one,
100% funded. Of course, we're getting it-
We're getting a
Originally.
second
Within-
story.
And here
A couple
comes,
weeks ago, yeah, because we had a meeting today and we had a meeting 2 weeks ago, and we were informed that that's somehow the policy has changed. And this does not make sense to me at all, so it's something that Frida and I have to drill into, and it might be in the process of going through this mitigation costing and presenting this to them and get their response, because as I currently understand it,
We need to start recording conversations with the state of Vermont.
well, this is FEMA. And,
Okay,
And then-
FEMA.
and partly because different representatives come and go.
Mhm.
And,
This is all very familiar
Yeah.
from Irene.
Apparently enough, I'm misunderstanding, and that's entirely possible. But what I believe I understood was that the mitigation cost cannot exceed the cost of the repair. And I said, that makes no sense at all. And apparently that's some new policy. So in other words, as I understand it, if the repair, say, for example, was just for round number, $60,000, I know it's not, that the mitigation could not exceed $60,000. So that's 60 plus 60. And they're saying that, that there are other funding sources that we can apply for to fill the gap, such as through
A lot of
the-
gap here.
the hazard mitigation funding that are next on the agenda or later on the agenda, those other programs. There's $90 million through the state for 100% to fill the gaps. And I think that's what they're talking about. So now that that's available, apparently they've scaled back their policy. I don't know. I'm hoping I have that wrong, but we'll have to find out.
Probably not.
You know, and I'm just throwing out the $60,000 just as an example.
Are these unit prices in place numbers?
Yes. Do any of them stand out to you as a question?
What does that mean?
They're out of the V-Trans system. It means,
Final construction.
Oh, okay.
done.
yeah, like somebody actually goes out with them, like Valerie was asking, you know, it's the excavator goes out, does his thing, puts it in place, you know, all the work.
So the
that goes
unit
into
price,
it's
the
installed.
quantities,
Oh, I
they
see.
give you the quantity and then they give you the unit price and you multiply those.
Got
And it comes up with your total amount. And that's why I was curious.
Yeah.
That's all in place pricing.
Yeah,
Does anything stand out to you, Baker?
Other than,
Apart from the.
other
incredibly
than
high
the
numbers?
retaining wall is gonna cost you $704,000.
Well, that's our main thing that we're trying to do
That's
here.
it.
We want a good wall.
I think of course, it's been 20 years since I bid a wall like that, so I'm sure the numbers have drastically changed.
Yours was $7,000.
Yeah, probably.
So I just, based on what you said, if it costs us 2.4 million, they're not gonna pay for stuff like replacing the guardrails and whatever.
No, they're only gonna pay what the mitigation would have been, double what the mitigation would have been, is the way I understand what she's saying. So if it was
Well-
$200,000 to mitigate it, they're only gonna pay 4 and we've gotta find the other elsewhere.
How do we get that?
So what's the
mitigation
difference, what's the I guess I'm trying to figure out, what's the mitigation part?
Right.
To put it back to the way it was.
They call it
Well,
in kind.
2.4 million,
So the-
that's what it's gonna cost to put it back the way.
Yeah.
No, that's
Just
actually the challenge that we always have,
Right.
because when this happens, the idea of mitigating something, putting it back to an unstable condition.
Right, you can't put it back.
Doesn't make sense,
No.
so it's difficult to, I think, separate these costs out.
Probably how they would approach it is the quantity of material or estimated quantity of material that went down the slope. How much would it cost to put that quantity of material back? You know, just pat it down on this.
Well, but
Reseed it.
over how many years?
Yeah.
Put it back.
Are we
with
going
no
10
retaining
years of
wall.
that or 20
Right,
years?
right. No retaining wall, just put it back
Yeah.
and kind of beef up the road,
But you're right, that makes no sense,
I
because
know.
you're just setting yourself up
of course.
for it to happen again.
But they,
No,
what they wanna
that's
do,
what they're willing to pay for.
Well, I understand that, but that doesn't, I mean, to
Doesn't
me,
fix
their
it.
philosophy doesn't make sense, because it doesn't fix the
I
problem.
think
It does.
unfortunately on this project, they will view the retaining wall, John, correct me if I'm wrong, as an improvement.
oh, totally,
right,
yeah, and they're,
Something
Which-
above and beyond what's required, even though
right.
our modeling.
Yeah.
It requires it. You
Mhm.
can't simply put the soil and rock back, it's going to be unstable.
Right.
But I think that's sort of defining the difference between the mitigation. and the
Right.
repair.
And as John mentioned, they
So-
want us to go through, they require this exercise because the mitigation is coming from a different pot of money. So the repair comes from the PA, the public assistance pot, and then the mitigation comes from a different pot.
and just to clarify the terms, it may not make sense to everybody, but in FEMA language, the repair is the in-kind work, like putting back something that was there.
Right.
The term mitigation for them is something that changes it and makes it better.
Right.
So their term of mitigation is the improvement type of thing, and
And that's not what they're gonna pay
the
for.
repair is the in-kind, like,
Mhm.
and the repair, is there a cost share on the repair part?
Set at 75-25.
And that would be things like, there was a guardrail there, put a guardrail back would be an obvious item in the repair pot.
Yeah.
Pavement, putting pavement back,
Right,
that's a repair
exactly.
item.
Giant wall isn't.
That would
You
be
didn't have a
the
giant wall
mitigation.
before the water, so you're not
It
getting.
So
washed
how
out.
much,
It went
yeah, but
right
if you
into the
figure
river,
out
washed
how
out.
much gravel do you have to bring back up,
Right.
put in there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you bring it, you have to bring up enough to pay for the cost of that wall?
Right.
I mean, is it gonna be $700,000 worth of gravel that you would have to, do you
Let's
calculate it
say
that way?
that.
Do you figure that out?
Yeah, I have to look through, it's
Um,
helpful to hear
Yeah.
that, but also, so it can't, say that again, the
It
You
can't, the
think
cost,
that the-
mitigation costs cannot exceed cost of repair.
repair,
Yeah,
and the repair
and I said.
isn't gonna be a huge number
The
here.
the
Yeah,
repair's not
okay.
gonna be $1 million.
No,
No.
no.
Even if you have to bring in that much gravel to put it, gravel and dirt to put it back the way it was.
No, well, if you take their stone fill here in place, their type 2 stone fill, it's $315,000.
Mhm.
And well, they didn't use any stone fill on the lower side, but,
Right,
Even if they did, that'd still be 600,000 maybe.
yeah.
So two other things. With the continued erosion over time, not only this past year, but in this past month, with the additional rain, we're seeing a lot of undermining of the emergency retaining wall that's there. And also, as John mentioned, more exposed areas and boulders that are becoming more exposed. And so two things are happening. The uphill road lane is continuing to undermine. And so we're proposing to make that a 1-lane road from the top to that bottom, and using solar streetlights. That I think we talked about this at a previous meeting, $5,500 a month. Won't be available till after
They're coming
around
August.
August 5th. And I'm trying to persuade FEMA that that's an eligible expense. What the peculiar thing is, now that we have this additional storm, and it might be a different disaster declaration, is that expense related to the new one or the old one? And I argued that it's related to the old one because of the ongoing, over the year, of the changing landscape, because it's changed. And from the original slide, it changed the profile of the road, it changed the drainage pattern, and so it's continued to force stormwater over the road and down the slope, and it's continuing to move material away. So they're looking into that. And then I also brought up the recommendation that we install additional blocks at the bottom of the slope, just in case stuff does begin to roll down of one form or another, that at least there's a protective barrier at the bottom to keep it from going into the road and perhaps smacking into a vehicle going by. And again, it's because it's more than a year after the original event, that would not qualify under the current thing as emergency repair because it's a year later. But if we get this new declaration, it might qualify under that. So, and as of today, I haven't heard of the status of that declaration, the potential declaration yet, so I don't know. But in any case, it sounds like a practical thing to do regardless. I mean, hopefully FEMA will cover it one way or another as part of this whole, especially if it's part of the report, part of the engineer's recommendation,
yeah,
that this additional protection be installed, then I would think that would be considered an eligible expense.
But if it doesn't, where's that money coming out of?
What happens if we don't do it? We close the road and we close it up until the first driveway.
Lincoln Road?
You made
for-
that suggestion.
Yeah,
I think last meeting.
well, for $2 million for the people it serves, Is it really that big of an inconvenience to go the other way?
Yeah, but the problem is it's already sliding, it's gonna continue to slide if we do nothing.
Right.
Well, if we were to close the road, we could definitely retract the water.
Mm-hmm.
So that it wasn't going, so that it was shedding all the way as opposed to coming down the ditch and shedding in the culverts.
No, I get it. Those people up there are gonna be mad,
But, I mean,
but, I mean,
many
you
houses
also gotta
are-
think about fire. I mean, they're gonna
Right.
either Lincoln, you're gonna have to have an agreement with Lincoln, or you're gonna have to go up. What the heck?
I mean, the closest is Atkins Road.
Atkins Road,
Right.
yeah.
Well, here's the other complication. And this is one reason why Roy and Kristen are tuned in, because of the Lincoln Road project coming up. And the fact that that's going to be closed for a month, starting next month. And we had
Lincoln
intended,
Road's gonna be closed for a month.
yeah,
To do the river.
the
I
riverbank.
know, but I didn't know they were closing the whole road.
Yeah,
I thought it was.
yeah,
I
that
thought it was
was
gonna be
the,
one lane.
Well, we thought about that, but especially with the Briggs Hill
Mhm.
condition, that would require another set of those traffic lights and.
Hell, they got two of them down on 116 in Huntington and Heinsberg.
Yeah, well, there's a limited supply of those little buggers. So we're in the queue, but we're in line. So Eric had been following that and found that somebody had returned a set, so he put our name in for them. So, and also if the road's closed, it can be done more quickly and be open sooner, less
it
disruption.
shouldn't,
The Lincoln Road.
it really
Lincoln Road.
shouldn't,
For the river.
it really shouldn't take them on.
Yeah,
It shouldn't.
that's a conservative estimate. Because what they have to do, if you recall, is they need to excavate a whole lane down to a certain level to be able to, for their equipment to reach out into the riverbank.
Okay, so if you close Lincoln Road, if you close Briggs Hill, then they have to come up
Quaker
17
Street,
to Quaker Street or the
Bristol
Notch.
Yeah. I would say we definitely wouldn't close it until after the
After
Lincoln
that
Road
done.
project was done, but
Right.
it's gonna make, it's, any way we do it, it's gonna be a pain for the Lincoln residents.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There's
And
really
Bristol.
there's really no way around it.
Yeah,
Just because it's in a bunch of email chains, that there was an alternative alignment that, Alan brought up.
Alan
I
Hines.
don't know if anybody's discussed that, but
Let's see.
I mean, we obviously have thought about it, but that doesn't help us with the Lincoln Road closure.
Well, it might though. If-
No, because it's above everything.
Where we gotta repair the
Oh.
Lincoln Road.
oh, yeah, it
Below
would just be another way to stay
Yeah.
up there, but great, okay.
Although, what I'm thinking is, let me stop sharing this.
You at Murphy's or are you back in the split where Alan talked about?
Murphy's, I think.
So Murphy's is above the second repair.
Second.
Murphy's driveway is almost right across from the second repair.
I don't know where that is, so.
Just Murphy's driveway is right across from Eagle Park.
Yeah.
Right, yeah,
Okay.
right.
Yeah, and that's
So
almost to
that's
the
beyond
town.
Bill Masterson's.
No, it's
Or just
before.
before.
Before, it's right where it's that driveway, right where the slide is on the opposite side of the road.
Okay.
So do you think that would be worthwhile to pursue in any case?
Well,
It
I
would-
don't know, what's the other option? I'm trying to follow this.
It's just to gain access back around, and we would stay in Bristol to gain access back around to the top of Briggs Hill.
Mhm.
It would mean a new road, and it would be shorter than. And it's a ways, but it it wouldn't be steep, and it would be shorter
Atkins.
than Briggs Hill.
Okay.
Valerie, do you remember when we had, I don't remember her name, from Du Bois and King, gave us the proposal on straightening out above the bridge?
Right,
Remember the proposal was going to go through about where Bartlett's is and go through to Briggs Hill and cut to 116 and 17 that way?
It doesn't solve the problem of the hillside.
But no, come down partway to Briggs Hill and take a right there. I
It
don't,
doesn't solve the problem of the hillside.
oh, the hill is still, is below that.
It's below
Well, that's
that.
hers right there. That was that.
so this is what we're talking about. The slides are over here. And Eagle Park, and this is that driveway.
Get back over to there.
It's a driveway or it's a road?
So, well, it goes all the way through. You know where the old chlorination hut is on Briggs Hill?
No.
You know where my
Sorry,
uncle,
I'm not-
do you know
I'm
where
not
my
there.
uncle lived on Briggs Hill?
You know, Peter Straub,
Is there-
the log cabin.
I've run the road, but I don't know
That
where
log cabin up there,
Come on, you guys.
just before the town.
That's not the road that I travel very frequently. Do you know where it is?
No.
No. But anyway, so that road goes all the way through to
Yeah.
Briggs Hill.
Where it says Alexander Plains,
Yeah,
yeah, it
mhm.
comes right through there.
Wow.
There's a road.
It's a driveway, yeah.
It's a drive.
But it's not owned by the town.
No,
So somebody's offering this up?
No.
no, it was
Oh,
just an
okay.
idea that,
It's like-
somebody from the public submitted.
Well, also, in conversations Eric and I have had, that this, in 1998, when Lincoln Road was blown out by the storm and completely
Right,
taken out,
decimated.
that was used as a detour.
Hmm.
That's where
Temporarily.
we got all the gravel from.
So I just wonder if, in this day, if the conditions are such that it might be worth exploring.
How many,
I mean, it's
how many
certainly,
houses
would-
are on that road? Just
Huh?
one?
no, there's a bunch of
Oh,
houses
there are.
back. You've got, there's a bunch of camps.
Okay.
Oh, let's see,
Were you talking bigger and bigger? as hell?
back by the cemetery. There's one before the cemetery, there's the farmhouse after the cemetery. There's
You got
another one
4
on the
or 5.
left-hand side, and then there's a half a dozen.
10.
You're going the wrong way, Valerie. Yeah,
Yeah.
go towards the red dot. Oh,
Yeah.
you don't have,
Is that the cemetery?
yeah,
I
that's
think he
the
was talking
cemetery.
about-
Yeah. okay.
Well,
Are
that's
you
the
talking-
farm, and the cemetery is just the side
Oh,
of it.
right.
So you're talking about 5 houses up on Bridge Road. I was
Yeah.
talking about the road you're talking about using.
From about where it
There's
says.
2
Alexander
there.
Two,
Repair,
that's the one I was
Back
talking about.
down to
So
Briggs
it's this
Hill,
one
there's
right
about
here.
5 or 6 houses.
Wow.
And that
It
goes,
goes up and through somewhere, yeah. Mhm.
so it's from.
It's an option.
Right, from the last driveway closest to the bottom of the hill, it's 1.58 miles to the end
Atkins.
of Atkins Road, joining,
Joining Lincoln.
yeah,
So you would cut that in half.
yeah. If we decided to look at
If you,
that,
yeah,
But that would only be temporary. Or
No.
you're thinking
no, you
permanently.
close Briggs Hill and make that permanent.
Yeah,
But if it's not a town road, then you have to,
Oh, well, it would, you'd have to acquire it.
Right.
yeah, go through the
Right, you have to
process,
go
lay
through
it
that
out.
But the problem is, that, you know, I guess it's.
that's
we'd
an
we'd
expensive
have to-
option too.
Well, yes, but it's not gonna wash out.
Mhm.
right,
Yeah, looking at
Be
the
a more
slope.
resilient
Yeah.
location than,
It's much-
than the hill.
But that 2.4 goes to 0 or goes up to 2.4 to cut through there, because you aren't gonna get any money from FEMA or
Right.
anything for that.
Right.
Right,
Because no, you're putting something new in.
Yeah.
Trying to make it better, we hear what you're saying, but we're not giving you any money.
well, actually, I did inquire about road relocation, and that could be an option.
Could be an option for
Especially
FEMA
if-
funding.
Especially if it's a more cost-effective option than this.
Well, it would be,
Under the hazard mitigation program, you have to do a cost benefit analysis
Mhm.
Mhm.
as part of that to get that
Right.
funding.
Mm.
well, and, you know, without talking to those people, you don't know if
Right.
they don't want,
If anybody wants to give that up.
they don't want the
put
traffic
road in
going through there.
Right.
I'm sure they don't.
I feel like a road going through your property.
right, exactly.
Don't want them to
There might
go
be
through
some
my property.
trade-offs that might be worthwhile at this, who knows?
Once in a
Just
while, you
wonder-
get people that say, oh, yeah.
Yeah, maybe
That
they're
would-
ready to bail
But-
out.
Yeah, I think the other spot that Alan had talked about was where the trees come up in the meadow there back. In
Over-
between,
over
yeah,
here.
right in there. I
Yeah.
think that was the ravine he had talked about, but
Yeah,
boy, I,
That Steven fixed, I think.
Huh?
Ain't that the ravine that Steven repaired or right in that area?
yeah, somewhere right in there, but I would go against building a road in a ravine.
No.
I mean, you just
Because of
asking.
what we already have.
so, so obviously we can't really do anything until we get the easement situations figured out. And that's gonna take some time.
For Briggs Hill repair,
Correct,
not what we just looked at.
correct.
Right.
Yeah.
So what are we
Could we at
looking at
least-
for next steps generally?
Well, we have enough to draw the lines on the page that say these are the areas where we need an easement, but we I don't know who your preference is for an attorney to
Right.
draw the easement language up. I am working with Adam Powers right now on one for another project. He's done them before. There are some other folks in the area who've done them before.
Didn't you talk about the possibility of getting an easement for all the property in between the two roads?
That was when I thought that it was just between Briggs Hill and Lincoln Road and just the slope. And now that it's going up the hill. well,
It's still all the same property.
True, but it would have to be defined with the meets and bounds and all that stuff. For the road right of way. Whereas before it seemed a little bit more simple, just go. And, between one road and the other road, and that whole slope becomes the easement, the road right of way.
Is there a reason it can
Well,
still be that way?
Yeah, I
It
was
can-
gonna say, cause it can't be
It could
anything,
still be that way.
So
nothing can be built there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the road right away could still be the same here because we're not moving the road location.
I think,
You would need a construction easement to build the project
Mm.
and a permanent easement to maintain
Mhm.
what you
Right.
built.
I
Right,
think the
Right.
issue for me would be, if it was my land, would be, if you were taking the acreage away from me and I wasn't able to use that acreage, for housing or whatever on the
Right.
other side, as long as I mean, I don't know who owns it, and I don't know how they feel about it, but there's no way they can build anything
right,
on
On
that
that,
property.
right.
right. I don't believe a right of way removes the land rights, the underlying.
Well,
Well, the
that's what I'm
easement,
saying,
right.
if you took if an easement wouldn't remove
Right.
any of their land rights,
Right.
it wouldn't remove. On the other side of it is, maybe they don't wanna pay taxes on that land. And maybe they have enough acreage to do whatever it is that they wanna do on the other side of the road already, I don't know. But without asking the question.
Right, yeah.
Wait, where are we talking?
In
Between Briggs
between the
Hill
two
and
roads,
Lincoln Road.
Not up by Eagle Park.
the easement in between the two roads.
Yeah, just
Okay.
between, yeah.
That's, I mean, we're talking about the easement as if we're gonna go ahead and do this stuff, correct?
Well,
Well, we have to have that in order to do it.
Okay, but I think we need to decide whether we wanna do it or not. Cause I don't know how we're gonna afford it,
Right.
honestly.
I mean,
I
if
can't.
FEMA's not
Given-
covering
given-
it,
Given the amount of people that it serves, I think that's a pretty hefty price tag, and
Mhm.
I don't think I can support that. I think that's just, I don't know how we would do that, given the amount of other projects that we have. I mean, we're entering into a $10 million project potentially for replacing all of our water lines. Where do we get another 2.4 million, And it's money that we have to have if we enter into grant agreements. It's all reimbursement. We have to have that money in the bank to do this. And I don't see how we're gonna do that.
Well, there can be interim financing for those things.
Yeah, but still,
I
you're taking on more debt. And we have so many projects with incredibly high price tags. This one is like, I don't know. It just seems,
I'd like to at least do some legwork on Cross Eagle Park. Ask those people, are you willing to sell for a road over here to, and then if we got that answer,
yeah,
that,
yeah, if that was a hard no, then.
right,
Right.
absolutely.
well, if it's a
no.
hard no, you could still close the road. It just means they have
Yes,
to go
right,
farther.
yeah.
oh, absolutely.
I mean, I'm having a hard time with this. I mean, I'm kind of with Ian. It's like,
Yeah, $2 million
Man.
to serve a half a dozen houses.
right, it's like,
Well,
I know it's an inconvenience, but
we're gonna spend $1 million serving half a dozen houses in the basement. And that's another project
no, no.
we gotta finance.
Well, and the septic system.
And the septic
Right,
system.
I mean, that to me is, even though it's a small amount of houses, it's still far more important, because that's our whole core
Downtown.
septic system.
Well, it deals,
Downtown.
and it deals with our water coming off
Right.
Mountain Street. There's
Right.
way more,
Right.
there's way more to that.
Yeah, then
Yes.
just straightening. the road.
Than
Yeah.
fixing the road for those residents.
Yes.
It's
Yeah,
a lot
it's not
more
just that.
involved.
Yeah, and this, it's 1.58 miles, which I know is an inconvenience, given, or maybe it's something that it's closed temporarily, and we close it for a certain period of time, and we get into a place where we can revisit it and look at it again.
by then it'll be 4.4 million.
Yeah,
I was gonna ask you.
Would you consider making it permanently one way so the road could be narrowed?
But we'd still need to do some of the repair.
You would still need, to, but
But
we
FEMA would
could,
pay
we
for
could
that.
look at the difference that makes in the magnitude of the repairs that you would have to do. That's an alternative
'Cause you-
you haven't looked at.
You're gonna
Reduce
gain,
the-
What if this was one way?
It would certainly reduce the size of the wall,
because you're gonna gain slope.
Yeah,
and that's one of the biggest.
I guess that's the
Yeah.
in-between thought.
I mean, that still could be a million, I guess, right?
Right.
If, let's say we're having everything, so.
Yeah,
When I asked you about the sheet pilings, and you said, what if they were 2/3 or halfway down the hill? Is that soil still the same?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just so it would slide to the sheet pilings, by the edge, okay.
Making it one way and making people
Which
go
way?
one way. Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. It's like, how do you decide which
I
is
mean,
the
you'd
one
be
way?
going down, right? But how many people are?
I would
are
think
gonna
you'd want up.
Or people that are gonna go do.
Well, just if you're, if you're thinking fire protection, and
Mhm.
I would think you'd want up.
Up. that was my first
Right.
instinct. It was up.
yeah. 'cause
But people
emergency
are gonna come down
response.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
they'll
know,
come
people are
down.
gonna ignore that and just drive it anyway.
So,
And
John, would you be
four-wheeler.
available to participate in the next FEMA meeting on Monday, August 5th at 10 a.m.? And by then you might have figured out or sorted out the repair versus mitigation costs.
I think we need to get a road trip up there and lay eyes on it so that we know exactly what.
Right.
I haven't been up there since the last. race.
I went by it this weekend, the bottom, I saw it and I was like, holy crap,
What's it looking like now?
a mess.
More than double what it was originally,
Right.
right?
I mean, yeah, you can clearly see the upper road and all the trees and dirt are all.
and the block wall at the upper one is very
Yeah.
undermined. It's
Yeah,
not-
you can
it's
see
not
that.
safe.
And the
Yeah,
block
that-
walls are
that-
undermined on that one.
Mhm,
And I want to reiterate something you brought up earlier, which is that lower barrier.
mhm.
I think the risk of something falling has increased quite a bit
Oh, yeah.
over the last month, just especially with that latest event.
Mhm.
And the reason is just more soil face has been exposed, like you saw, Valerie.
Mhm.
More of those larger boulders are eventually just gonna get plucked out. And once something starts moving from
Oh, yeah.
100 feet high down a slope like that,
It's not
there's
gonna
lots
stop.
of trees and things that they could be stopped, but,
I
Well, the
didn't, I
last
didn't see a
time-
tree down there
the
that would
last
stop a
time
big
we-
boulder.
no.
When we widened it back 25, 30 years ago, we stopped traffic and pushed the stuff over the bank, and there was a fair amount that ended up in Lincoln Road that we had,
Go down
we'd
and
stop
clean up.
traffic and then we'd have to take the loader and clear the road.
And we're not suggesting that this is some other design, right? We're just simply saying, even similar to the blocks you have
Yeah.
up on the wall right now,
Mhm.
something similar, just stack them up, some sort of barrier that would just absorb those types of impacts, and it's,
I mean, if you're
Wait, so-
gonna do the repair, you can take those existing blocks and use them, can't you?
Well, it's not, what we still want the road open.
Well, no, I'm just saying, if they're gonna repair, it, if we go that route, because they're not gonna use
Yeah.
those blocks. Is my guess.
No, that
Right,
ready. rock
those
is
aren't
something
ready,
entirely
right,
different.
those aren't
Mhm.
ready, so.
So with what you just said, is that up on Briggs Hill or is that's below?
Lincoln
this
Road.
would be
On
on
Lincoln, okay.
Lincoln.
Yeah,
The
down at
risk
the
is
bottom.
something crossing Lincoln.
Yeah.
More than just the soil sort of
Right.
washing that you've seen so far.
So what happens, so let's say hypothetically, we decide to close the road. What's immediate action that we can take, that we're able to take by ourselves? I mean, is there any that we can take to make it safer, given what you're saying?
Well, we could either, we could place Jersey barriers or
Right.
blocks or something up through there, like you said, to stop, to stop a rock like this coming down
Right.
through. If a 4-foot rock decides to come down
Yeah.
through, then.
This coming.
It's coming.
Yeah, hopefully nobody's coming, it'll end up in the river.
Right.
So
Or what do we do if we permanently closed it? Would we take all
Right.
the asphalt out, reseed that? shape that
We'd
so-
shape it so.
So
it
water
all
go
sh-
to the north?
So it all sheet drained and didn't have water running in one place. I mean, that's the problem, the water comes down the road and it comes off in one place, it comes down the ditch and it comes off in one place.
Right.
If it was, shedding all the way down through,
We can't so-called tip that road and have it in the north.
Well, if you if
Good
you
ditch.
close the road, you could build a pretty big ditch line, cause you just take out road and build it, convey the water.
Down to the bottom.
All the way.
Well, no, you
bottom
can do
and-
like water bars all the way down through there,
Yeah.
so that the water didn't come down, so that it went off every so many feet as opposed to traveling down the road.
Yeah,
Are there any other sections past the two that you looked at that are having any issues? If we decided to close it, let's say, where would we pull it back to? Are there other areas that we'd wanna make sure? Apart from yeah, above. those.
Above, we'd wanna make sure that the water didn't come down the hill.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where the issue is.
I think just based on what people do on dead end roads, it would go up to the
driveway.
the last
Yeah.
driveway
Just so you have as much
with your
control
closure.
as possible, yeah. Okay,
Then you don't have people going down there and trying to go
Yeah.
through or,
Right.
okay,
Because they will.
So Eric was out on there and he checked it out this morning, the rock wall idea, and do you wanna share with us what you?
Well, it's gonna take more than just laying the blocks there. You're gonna have to make a plateau for them to sit on. You're gonna have to hire an excavator to do it. We
On
can't-
the upper end, or you're talking
No,
about
down
down the
there,
bottom?
make the blocks.
Mhm.
And
Make a
do
landing.
we have right away enough to do it?
No,
You're
rather
still,
right away.
you're still talking easement.
Yeah.
But yet, it sounds like it's kind of imminent, I mean,
We've
it's
got,
not something that can wait for a couple
we've got to
months.
do it. Keep the
I
stuff
don't think
up.
so.
You don't think we need to do it?
No, I looked at it today and if you look up through there where the trees have come down through on the second slide, all the root balls are facing up. So anything coming there is gonna hit the root balls. On the other side where the ravine is, there may be one or two stones there that may come down that I saw, and maybe I'm not seeing them all. But I didn't see anything up there that was that immediate, that was gonna come down. That was just being looked, and I could have missed them, not seen them. I'll be the first to admit it. But just what I saw.
In any rain event, the possibility of something like go is,
The possibility is there. I think it's remote, but the possibility is there.
And playing this out a little bit more, if the lower, the foundation wall of that, the blocks up at the top of Briggs Hill, if that gets undermined more, and it probably will, and that lower level lets go, how, can you kind of model what the dynamics might be of how they tumble down the hill?
We actually did. And it's very unlikely. It's very unlikely that the blocks of that size
Okay,
would make it anywhere near the bottom of the slope.
oh,
That's not what we're suggesting.
okay,
No, I know, you're talking about the rock.
well, that's good to know.
Rock, something more rounded.
Yeah.
I mean, there are simulations that you can do. We actually did that just to see. We plugged in the geometry.
Mhm.
And it's not out of the realm of possibility.
Mhm.
So to stack a few concrete blocks up at the base to reduce the town's risk of that remote possibility.
Yeah.
To me, that's something that I would. recommend.
how long an area are you talking? 100 feet, 50 feet?
No,
Just
I
where
think
that-
it was just in the opening, really where
About 5 blocks wide is what it looks like to me,
the washing is
and then 3 high.
across the road at Red. Yeah. It's not a large area. If anything's gonna tumble down, I think. it's gonna
That's
get
where it's
funneled
gonna
back.
into that funnel. Yeah.
Mhm.
I think you could do it with, what are they, 4 feet, so 20 to 30 feet long area, and then you said what? 3 high,
Mhm.
6 feet or something like that, so. I
And
mean,
again,
it's not
these
a
are-
big area to do, it's just, we don't have a machine to do it, and right now, where they gotta be placed, it's gonna be out of the right way. And that, I mean, I suppose that's simple enough to get an easement, just with the block, and that's pretty simple.
And this isn't
straightforward.
something we specifically modeled, but, I mean, how many washouts have you had on this slope that have crossed Lincoln Road so far? 2 already. So,
And one from last year,
okay.
and
then
then one
there's-
more from this year.
No one way up. There's the one above Murphy's as well. Last year.
Oh, yeah, the one where Steven fixed here last, yeah. That
My
one.
point is a barrier like that would also prevent, or at least limit any soil material. like in-
Yeah, the only thing it would do with that would be, if it wasn't soupy, then it would stay there, but if it was soupy, it would just work its way around the sides, so you'd have two areas you'd have to clean instead of one. Which
But
is
it-
not,
it
which
might
is not a
be-
big deal, but you would probably have less material, because they would catch most of it
Yeah.
behind it, and just the excess would go.
That wouldn't be the bigger rock one, it would just be rock.
Yeah, and like this time that came down through, there wasn't really a lot of rocks, there were, you know, little ones like that, but it was mainly mud and trees.
Right, and I appreciate your point, Eric, about what's there today. One of the other points I was making was that the face, there's so much more exposed up there now. So every new rain event, more is gonna get exposed, there may be new material that gets uncovered, you
Oh, yeah.
know, so the risk is going.
The risk is there, I agree with that, it is there.
And
Okay, well-
it may be small, but the risk is there, and
It
it's growing.
Where do we go from here, people? We've been an hour here.
Right.
What do we,
Well, we'll find out at our next FEMA meeting on August 5th, more information about the mitigation funding. We will demand clarity on this, and by then we'll have the numbers and we'll get
We'll
the
break them out,
feedback.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, our experience with clarity and government giving us money
Right.
is really, our
And-
track record isn't stellar.
and the select board is meeting again on August 12th, and capital projects are going to be a major topic of that, most of that evening. So we'll be talking more about this kind of stuff in the context of a lot of these other projects going on.
okay.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yep,
Thank you.
Oh, one question.
so it'll be,
Yeah, yeah, hold on.
Oh, I was just curious, if we decided to do the repair, when would this be ready to go out to bid?
sounds like, sometime after the August 12th meeting. And it depends, I mean, you know, we talked about a lot of possibilities here. If we were changing the design to be one lane or something, you know, maybe a little longer to
I was just.
dress it up, but I feel like we're pretty close to, you know, we need probably a couple weeks to finalize plans, and work on the bid documents.
And get the easements.
Yeah.
Easements,
Well, no,
yeah, I don't know how
I
long
was
the
just
easements.
curious how much longer it would be before the whole package was ready to go out to bid, that's all.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think the design part of that is was not the longest part of the timeline, probably, you know, getting the easements and getting answers from FEMA or
Right,
the trick.
right.
Yeah, we certainly need those answers before we go anywhere.
Right. And Eric has been in touch with the folks in Lincoln to give them a heads up that this is all kind of in the works, and also the Lincoln Road project is in the works, and.
The road crew, that doesn't mean the residents. are
Right,
there.
right. Well, need to start somewhere.
Eric's letting the road crew know, so
Hmm.
they want to let their residents know, it's up to them. So, alrighty, well, thank you, gentlemen, for
Yes,
coming.
thank you
Yeah,
very
thanks.
much.
We'll be in touch, or
Yep.
you'll be
Oh,
back in
yeah.
touch with Valerie.
Oh, yeah.
So, I think this is what Roy is up next. Consider acceptance of an updated quote from Sergeant Building and Train Service for installation of a removal rail on the universal fishing platform at Eagle Park.
Yep, and the updated quote of, the group of us met out at the platform and discussed the different design details, and Randy came back with a quote of. I think this is it. 74 or $7,450.
It's a little bit more.
A little bit more, but there's a little bit more involved, and cutting the rail into smaller pieces.
Yeah.
We did talk about galvanized, and it would take some time to send them off to get the galvanized coating or compound. But if he gets a green light before August 1st, then it appears as though he can make the timeline,
What's the deadline again?
September 30th.
So this, going this way, his quote, would remove all the rails.
Remove all the rails,
I think that's
And-
the best way to go myself.
Including the front rail.
all the rails, and they would all.
Whatever rail is up.
Yeah, and they would all be carried over to the front pathway, which would form a barrier along that pathway.
What happens if we miss the deadline? If he's unable to complete it in time?
Oh, I will ask for an amendment, an extension.
Okay. What we got?
I think perhaps a worst case scenario is that that particular cost is not accepted, in which case, I mean, I don't envision this happening, but that we would subtract that element out of the FEMA project and close it out, but,
This one already has had extensions, right?
oh, yes,
Yeah.
this is, we're more than 4 years in.
You-
And we're in the
What's-
home stretch.
What's another extension?
Right, especially if,
rather not.
especially if we
Yeah,
are in
I'd
the home
rather not.
stretch.
No, I know, that's why I don't know, he's a busy guy, so.
Yeah,
Well,
I was just wondering, could he just pay the bill?
that's possible.
And then if you can't make the timeline to install, as long as the bill is.
as long as they're cut off, they're down, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
But,
we can probably work that out.
Okay,
you know,
to be able to meet that deadline.
Let's.
because the galvanized, I talked to him today, he said it takes 4 to 5 weeks
Right.
Yeah,
for the galvanized process.
Right, so that's pretty much all of August.
right.
Yeah.
Let's say it takes longer than that, so,
Right.
yeah.
And then a few days for the
But
installation.
if he's got it fabricated and sent off, if he's got the railings down, we're gonna have to temporarily close that, correct?
That's true,
For once they're cut, once he takes them off, we're gonna
It's
have
gotta
to
be
close
closed.
it.
right.
Um,
point.
and basically then it's closed. All he needs to do is put the pockets on the. I don't know if he has to, does he have to have those galvanized as well, or? So, I mean,
Everything that he's gotta make, he's gotta have galvanized, all the pockets, whatever.
so from when he takes that down, that platform will be closed.
Yeah.
And we've been dragging our feet on everything, and it's time that we step up to the plate and get some of the stuff done.
Dragging our feet, I beg your pardon.
Well, you just said 4 years. It's the same with it was March of 2021 that I brought up the fact that the Lincoln Road had slid. And we're still working on extensions of that, and it's very frustrating for me to sit here and we just keep kicking stuff down the road. And I know you're extremely busy.
There's no blame here.
There's no blame. It's just, it seems like every time we get a project going, we make a decision and somebody comes back with something else. And we've spent a lot of time educating ourselves and making sure we're making the right decision. And one person can throw a wrench in it all. And I think, we need to get to the point where we do what we feel is best as a board.
You're not gonna please
And
everybody.
move forward. I'm used to getting things done, and it just seems to me like,
It's called
We're-
political red tape.
yeah, well,
Sorry.
we're not
We've had plenty of that.
we're not that big.
Well,
And
it's not necessarily us. I think a lot of
Let's-
it's the
yeah.
state, it's the government.
Let's-
You gotta do this, you gotta do that.
Mhm.
So it's all,
I agree 100% with Peter. Let's keep back on,
I make a motion, we hire Randy Sargent to make
be
the
done by-
rails on the fishing platform removable.
and as soon as he takes them down, it's closed.
Correct.
Is that gonna interfere with anybody using it? Cause it's right.
It will if it's closed.
It's closed.
Oh, yeah.
Closed is closed, yeah.
They were using
Yeah,
it.
I'll
today.
second it.
A couple that was using it.
There was a chair on there yesterday, just sitting there. Nobody
Is
was
that,
on it.
we're not gonna stop them from going on it.
And actually, without the
Okay, I need a second
rails,
to that.
as she just did,
Just
without the
second.
rails there at the gate, at the entry, like we were just talking about, there's
No,
nothing.
Is there a way we could put one of the
Well,
cement
Ooh.
blocks?
Let's put that
Just,
chair
I'm
there.
talking about just in the walkway.
Right,
In
right,
front of it,
yeah.
with the,
We just-
closed.
We just have a sign made that says fishing platform is closed due to maintenance.
Yeah.
Use it, own risk.
No,
Or don't.
it's closed due to
Yeah.
maintenance.
Yeah.
It's just
Period.
closed.
Roy, do you have
Okay.
any thoughts
They're just
on
gonna
this?
climb over.
Roy?
Well, yeah, but if you say use it on risk,
No,
what the
hold on,
liability is
guys.
on us, so.
Do not use.
Yeah, I guess my thought was, there was a chain at the front entrance. I wonder if we could just hang 2 chains on the pathway. And also we might be able to maybe Randy has like something temporary, because the railings are still gonna be there. Right, it's the sleeves and the pieces he's manufacturing that are gonna be sent off for galvanizing, so I wonder if he could rig up something interim while he's galvanizing the sleeves to make the railings removable, that they could stay attached or something like that. And we can talk.
Doesn't he have to cut down the railings on the sides? So that they're lighter?
And also
Yeah.
cut them in half.
Yeah, so those are gonna have to be galvanized as well.
Well,
I-
he said the railings he's gonna cut, he's gonna use cold galvanizing compound on the ends.
Yeah, that's right, cold.
So he
fusion.
doesn't have to send the whole railings out. He's just gonna be sending the sleeves he's gonna manufacture out.
So if he gets the sleeves done, we can leave it as is until he's ready to. He doesn't have to take anything apart in order to make the sleeves he's making.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure, but it seems like he may be able to measure, get the sleeves made, get them galvanized, and then get them back and almost like do the whole project right away. Yeah.
Okay.
We can
Yeah, I mean,
check in and
if he
ask if
doesn't
that's
have to take-
possible.
I mean, we don't have to close it until the railing has to come down.
That's right.
Right.
If the old railing is not gonna be manufactured or fitted to be the new one, and leave it up until he's ready. to
No,
go.
he is gonna fit it, but he's,
Leave the railings there.
yeah,
And leave those railings, okay. But if there's no railings on the platform,
it's closed.
it's closed.
Yeah.
Is that? You got that, Bob, I guess?
Yep,
Eric?
yeah.
All right, all those in favor of having Sergeant start ASAP,
Aye.
opposed?
Nay.
Aye. So 3-1. Okay, road project update,
Thank you, Roy.
Thank you,
Kristen.
Roy.
Y'all later.
Bye, Kristen.
Road project updates, July 2024 storm repairs, Pine Street grinding, drainage, paving, Lincoln Road
Oh.
grinding,
Good.
paving, et cetera, other updates. DPW foreman Eric Coda.
Do we have any
He's right here,
documents on
right?
this?
He's sitting in this chair in a minute.
Do we have any documents on this or no?
No.
It's all in Eric's.
Eric's little brain.
My little brain.
Eric's brain.
Okay,
And that's a scary place.
It is.
Now, we've
So go-
talked about some of
go-
these things already, but in pieces. so.
Yeah, so I guess what else? So
Pine
Briggs
Street.
Hill, we already talked about.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So Pine Street, grinding, I talked to Mike today, they're looking back to the first week of August, so you're good.
The 1st of August?
First week of August to grind.
How long does that take?
Good day.
Yeah,
For the whole length?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, it's not,
And
it's just a big road to tell.
so.
I mean, to put it
Yeah.
in terms that,
People can
layman's terms.
understand.
yes,
Right.
yes.
They supply the flaggers and they supply a grader to lay it out when they're done, and then after that, it's us to reshape it and whatever we're gonna do.
In the water department contractor.
I contacted Jill and she's on right now, and she's gonna try to get the water lines, marked this week. She's busy, I think she said the first part of the week, but she'd try to get to them at the end of the week. Now she's got a little bit more time because they're not coming in until the first week of August to do it, and
And
then
then get the valve boxes all raised or,
leave them down where they are for now, until they get done grinding.
oh, yes, yes.
And then Munson's will come back in and they're gonna raise them up or put risers on, whatever. They're gonna do it. All I gotta do is contact them or have Jill contact them to let them know that they're ready to bring them up.
Stormwater.
And then the stormwater, Adam is starting, the week of August 12th. And to do the drainage by Jackman's, that section. And then Steven is gonna do the one at Munsell the same week. So they'll both be done that week, or approximately that week. Lincoln Road is gonna be ground the same time, Pine Street, so it'll probably be the next day, I'm assuming. They'll go up to Lincoln Road and grind that.
Same with flaggers, stuff like that.
Yeah, they supply
They-
all, they supply their own.
Does all their own.
And, so how long will the Lincoln Road be there? When
How
you
long
check-
will it be
when
there?
when you're getting in the river to do the repair.
However long it takes them to fix the river.
No, but are we, and Valerie,
Easy.
take a deep breath, okay? Because my brother got a message from Josh saying nobody has contacted him about Lincoln Road yet. And he said he got another job for Doubletree up in Burlington that he wanted to squeeze in between the Heinsberg job and coming there. And I told him that was unacceptable, that we could not wait.
Right.
So,
It is true, I have not sent off the contract yet. It's stuck.
but he
right.
knows that,
Yeah.
the job is a go, because
Yes.
I sent him, I showed you the
Yes.
message in the meeting that night, and
Yes.
sent him yes.
Yes.
And, I
And we
mean,
talked about the different rates, because the credit for the paving. And at that time, during that conversation, before we had really thought about using the electric lights on Briggs,
Mhm.
we thought about using the electric lights on Lincoln, and he was going to get a quote to see if the cost of that was going to kind of balance out the credit on the paving. And so that hasn't happened either, so we're both kind of
But
stuck.
you mean lights to work or
Well,
street?
Street lights
when we
too.
thought.
Red and green. I thought that we said
Yeah,
that the
what-
road was gonna be closed.
Yeah, so when there was a conversation about what if it's only one lane?
Yeah,
And then-
because of Briggs Hill, we thought, Valerie and I came up with a concept of maybe doing downhill for Briggs Hill traffic and then up through Lincoln Road for people going to Lincoln, so that way you would split the traffic.
Mhm.
So that's what we came
Right,
up
and
with.
part of the concern is knowing that among the traffic will be heavy trucks.
Right.
So trying to take the
loaded.
pressure off of both roads with the heavy trucks.
Yeah.
So, but I haven't heard back either, so I guess it's.
So that was one topic that Valerie and I discussed over plans.
Mhm.
So let's see, what else is there? What else do you want? We, for flooding damage, we actually fared out good this time, other than Briggs Hill. And we had a little bit up on Meehan Road and Upper Meehan Road. As Michelle knows, some shoulders washed. And then, the culvert below Baby Dolls on the lower end of that where the pipe can't take it. And I'm applying for a grant for that one to upsize the pipe. They couldn't take the water volume and it overflowed, and of course it washed out the one lane on the lower side.
What about on Ireland Road? Is there that section there by Roberts?
That's
Is that ours?
Oh, yeah, that's ours.
Okay.
And
I
gotta
thought so.
I gotta get up there. I haven't, Valerie sent some pictures, and I finally found the email, by the way. And, so I gotta get up there and get a hold of somebody to get a contractor to get in there to get the trees out of it and to restone that bank.
Somebody threw stuff.
Well, Matt was started up there with Denny's rig, and then he got to the trees, and then he says, oh, how come I'm gonna move these trees? I said, well, I'll just cut them off,
Mhm.
pull them out. And then he got pulled out to do something else, so he never actually got back to working on it.
Yeah, because I was gonna say there was a pile of stuff in the edge of the road and the washout, and I'm like,
Yeah,
that's not odd.
back down to try to get Ireland Road open from
Right.
116 to
That's what-
Meehan.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's open.
that's what they were doing.
Is it,
Yeah, but
It says it's closed, but people are driving it.
well, okay, what else there is that, so, but the paving is still off a ways on both Briggs and, or Lincoln Road and Pine, or?
So Pine Street will be done probably, let's see, if they do their work August 12th, say they finish it up, let's just say 7 days, the 19th. Might probably shoot for towards the end of August for paving Pine Street. That'll be done. And then I already talked to Mike about, probably moving in later on Lincoln Road, and he said that was no big deal. Cause they were gonna have to truck everything over there to move the equipment to there anyway, so it's not.
It's not like they can drive it.
Right. So he said it wasn't a big issue, that if they weren't coincided to be paid the same time, it wasn't gonna be a big issue. So if Lincoln Rose happens to be a month later, then they'll just come back and
And what we talked about for both was just the base layer.
just the base layer for the first couple, 3 years, let them ride, everything settle,
Mhm.
and then shim and top.
Couple inches.
I think we're doing 2.5 inches of base,
So that's the only,
And then when we top them, we'll do,
another 2 inches of
yeah,
top.
okay. Cause I think where we're running into our problem, like Burpee Road and
Oh, that
Moncton Road. When we pave, we put down our 2 inches of base and 1 inch of top, and if there's any irregularities in the base, you end up with thin pavement and then it pops.
Tops.
You
And,
can see that Burpee Road.
yeah, and I just think, we need to, that second course needs to be a little heavier than 1 inch.
Yeah.
Cause if they lay down 1 inch, in places it's probably 3/4, half inch,
Yeah.
depending on what's happened with the base, so.
So,
So the Lincoln Road repair
Mhm.
doesn't affect the paving. It's outside of that area.
No,
no,
it has to be done before we pave.
because they're gonna be digging up half the road where
They're
they're.
taking one lane.
You get down in the
Okay,
river.
So they're grinding the road and then the Lincoln repair will happen and then they'll come back and pave. And if they don't coincide with Pine
Okay,
Street, they'll be
got
back.
it, all right.
Yeah, and I got a grant, paving grant for that as well.
So that has to be done.
Mhm.
Yeah, Valerie got an extension for both,
Then to December of this year.
so that'll be done.
Okay. Is those the only two streets and roads we're doing this year?
Yeah, cause I wanna make sure that I got enough money in the account or the paving line to cover both. And then if I got extra, then I can do something next spring,
Okay.
but yeah, I just.
Like I told you, I think the River Road needs some attention. We don't really give that attention.
No.
We don't touch it in the winter time because we don't plow it or sand or salt it.
No, I was looking at it there the last couple times, I've been checking roads and it definitely needs,
River Road?
yeah,
All
where
right,
the line is.
where the line is.
It's all broke up and then down around the corner, the edge of the pavement starting to
Mhm.
work its way back in, so it
It slows
needs.
people up, go around that corner.
You would think, but not really.
Okay. Anything else for Eric, you guys?
Oh, yeah. Come on, think.
No, but what, just bring it up. Move it back.
Trees
Oh, the trees, the canopy. and the-
Oh, the canopy
and the
in
cemetery.
the cemetery, so. John went up and did the inspection
Just one on Harts Gravel.
on Harts Gravel Road, so all the trees go except for the ones that are ribbon.
There's one tree in the middle of the front that has a ribbon on it. If that tree were to go, we could do our fence.
Yeah, so it's up to you guys what you wanna do with that,
He
right?
wants to keep that one tree.
There's one tree, one double tree right in the middle that has a ribbon on it.
Why don't we just make that the opening? Stop the fence one side of the tree and then leave a 4 foot opening to go in, somebody was to be buried in there. And then start the fence and go north. If it's-
We'd have to look at it. I don't know.
You
if
see what I'm
it's-
saying?
Yeah, I don't know if it's in a place where you can do that, but yeah.
So I got a hold of
If
Brad.
that's a compromise.
And he was gonna go up and look at it, and what he did, he sent me an email over the weekend, or a text, wanted to know if he could do the interior and the front now, and then, not now, but soon, and then do the outside when the corn's cut for Hill. I said, yeah, I didn't see where that would be an issue.
The biggest issue I see is that leaner, and we got people
That
in
would
there
be,
caring, we got people in there caring for the cemetery, we got people in there looking at stones and that thing is just.
Can you tell them to take that one down?
Well, that's part of the interior, so
Yeah.
I would assume that would be
Okay.
coming
That's
down.
gotta,
soon.
somebody was in there yesterday.
Yeah.
Peter, he was saying he was there.
So,
Yeah, there's somebody in there every day. I mean, I don't know what the attraction is, but there are people in that
Respecting their
cemetery
elders
all
and
the
their
time.
people, some buried in their family.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
and yeah, and the other thing, what Peter was saying with trees, I took the canopy up. Was it last year I had Brett go through, take the canopy up in the village, but it needs to go up a little more. And now, Bruce can attest to this too, the size of the roads. The trees are starting to encroach on the sides, they need to be trimmed up. And also in the town roads themselves, because we don't have tailgate spreaders anymore, and that, what used to be the canopy, keep the canopy at bay. Now everything's starting to grow in because nothing's high anymore, so now we need to start doing our roads out in the town. To do the same thing, take them back, take canopies.
Yeah, the sides
Sides
are
need to
creeping
go
in
creeping
too. I
in.
mean, a lot of them look like an upside down L from where the trucks have trimmed that.
Cut it out.
Yeah, well, it's, and I don't know how liable we are if somebody comes through legal height and takes a limb and
Right.
And
damages a trailer or a truck.
I mean, and I see it on the sidewalks too. You know, I walked down.
Oh, and I got,
Church Street the other day and there's like little tunnels,
Yeah.
the trees are growing in.
so.
I mean, it's beautiful, but it's not practical.
Right.
So I did get, Greg finally went around and looked at all the sidewalks and he's gonna give me a price on trimming everything. Taking everything back, trimming it the way it's supposed to be done.
Correct, that one?
Yes.
Good. Okay.
Let's see.
No other problem spots.
Other than the upper notch and the upper median is washboardy as heck. And,
That's normal.
well, no, that's a little bit more normal because 17 was coming down over that.
Oh, yeah, I know.
So I gotta go back up there. I might go back up this week and grade it again. The upper notch is, that was kind of my fault. I sent Mikey up to grade it and it was supposed to shower and rain in the afternoon, so I decided not to chloride it, save some chloride. Well, it only sprinkled.
And it didn't.
And it didn't pack very good. So now it's well, Jimmy can attest, it's washboardy to beat the band right
It
now.
slows him down.
Right. So,
No, don't want them going off the road.
Same.
and, that's gonna be done this week as well. I'll get both them uppers done again and then we'll chloride them and,
I wanna pass on to you from Linda Luna told me that. I asked her at the last storm with them, like, oh, she said that Eric and that crew, they did a bit, we had no, hardly any water. The ditch took it and everything, so hats off to you, she told me today.
oh, she's a good lady. I
Okay,
think that's it, as far as, unless you guys have any other questions that you can think of right off the top of your head.
What's the hole on Notch Road?
The hole,
In the travel lane, there's a hole. Is there a culvert there that's failed?
well,
pavement part,
I don't know.
Since I
Wanna give
was
us a
up
little
there
more
Saturday, there was a hole on it'd be the eastbound lane,
In a dip, like a little dip.
right just as you come off the 116.
Oh, that's. So yes, what happened there is the culvert there has separated. And I got a permit from V-Trans, cause you gotta get a permit to work in the right of way, even though it's our road. So I got a permit to do that in the first 2 feet of the pipe that's pulled apart, so it's about a gap like that. In there, so I gotta dig it out and,
Somewhere
see if I
little-
can just put a band on it, or if I gotta replace the whole culvert. But yeah, it pulls
does it need
it,
upsizing?
Didn't you just pave that road?
no, not down there, I didn't.
Okay.
But the other thing too is, V-Trans needs a ditch from where that culvert exited to the one that goes across the road. I mean, top of the culvert that crosses our road is only this much showing, the rest is buried.
I
So,
would think that would be their responsibility at that point.
yeah. Right. I'm gonna do it if I change the whole culvert, I'm gonna do it. Because it's not gonna pay to put it in if I don't ditch it.
And they're busy elsewhere. right?
Oh, yeah, right now they are.
Already here, so I
Thank
think
you.
that's it.
Yeah.
Okay,
You don't want me riding around anymore, do you?
You can ride around all you want, I appreciate all that stuff. Sometimes I don't catch it, so
Alrighty.
I appreciate it all.
You gotta
Thank
put
you,
our
Eric. Thank
Water
you.
commissioner hats on. Consider approval of a proposed engineering service agreement with
VTM.
VTM Engineering for the Bristol East Waterline Replacement Project. Okay, Stephen, you're up. Bristol East?
There.
Yeah, we've been focusing on Bristol West.
Right, so now this is.
Yeah, this is for the next one. And
Go ahead,
because,
Stephen.
because things take forever to go through the state bureaucracy. we need to
Take
get
it
this
easy,
on-
everybody. Yeah, and I don't want Peter yelling at me at the next meeting saying I'm behind, so.
Yeah,
I'll hold him back. I'll try to pull him back. I don't know.
I don't know.
Is
but
that why you zoom in instead of show up?
Actually, I've been working on another project for you all day, so I've been sitting here at my desk. Valerie, can I have control for just a sec?
sure. Do you want to do it
Yeah.
again?
It'll cost you, Steve.
Yeah.
Well, I can
That's
send
next on the
it.
agenda.
I know. I mean, I'm looking at this. We're keeping him in business.
Someone's got to.
Okay.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
I bet you do.
Okay, what do I need to do to take over here?
You should be able to just do it right now. You should be able to share.
Okay,
Look at that. Perfect.
ah. Nice.
Nice little email collection there.
Hey, just really quickly, the last month, we sat down, we talked about a master schedule, right? And this is our master schedule. What we decided to do, just for everybody's memory, is we moved this design portion up a year, right? It was in here. And we decided that it was too much to do both construction and design at the same time. So what this represents really is almost a mirror image of Bristol West. This is going to be Bristol East. And the first part of this is really putting together the engineering services agreement in a format that's compatible with what the state wants, which is an EJCDC document. Sorry. In addition, Valerie and I will, one of our next steps will be to put together the step 2 DWSRF funding application. So that will come after the ESA. The ESA, which is the engineering services agreement, which you folks have in front of you, is pretty much, let me see if I can grab that. That's west, east. It's most of it's boilerplate information. It's almost the exact agreement that we signed for Bristol West. I don't expect anybody other than maybe Valerie's going to go through 50 pages or whatever's there.
50.
What's that?
I said 50.
Yeah, that's probably more than that.
Well, you're only half of an attorney would have.
Well,
It's
actually the state and actually the feds force you to use this format, right? So
that's why there's so many paragraphs that are crossed out because they don't apply.
well,
Okay.
they don't apply to this segment. So what's going to happen is we will do an addendum when we get to bidding, and we will bring back some of that language that's crossed out right now. They don't want you to delete any of the language. They want a master agreement. And so what we'll do when we get to the bidding portion, let's say this project is funded, I'm pretty sure it will. When we get to the bidding phase, we will X out.
get my recorder out.
I know. We will X out some of that language, and then the same thing when we get to construction, we'll do another addendum, and we will X out the remaining language because it'll pertain to the construction side of things rather than design. So what will happen to this draft agreement that you have in front of you is Valerie and I will submit it to the state. They're going to spend 3 or 4 months, if history is any indication, reviewing this, and they'll get back to us with comments before we finalize it. Okay. I think most of you folks are probably going to be more concerned at the moment with the cost information that's there. Like I said, this is pretty much a mirror image of Bristol West. We're estimating about $30,000 less than we did on Bristol West, and there's some reasons for that.
You say less?
Yes. Yeah. And I think we're going to come in under budget on Bristol. You know, I hate to say that before we're done, but we're doing very well, right? So our project budget looks great right now. In fact, we should be at the 90% design mark by the end of this week. We've been working on final comments. We're just about there. We're at a point we could submit the drawings and get a permit if we wanted to. There's a whole bunch of other things that Valerie and I need to go through funding wise, but in terms of the design itself, we're getting pretty close. There's a couple of things that we did this last year. I bought a bunch of new survey equipment, invested in some new stuff, so I can do all of the surveying by myself, which reduces our field time, right? I don't need 2 people in the field anymore. So that's kind of reduced some of our costs. And based on what we did for Bristol East, I think we've got a pretty good, Bristol West, we've got a pretty good format now. So I think we're going to use probably less drafting time than we had initially envisioned within Bristol West. So those are the 2 reasons really for the drop. I may come back to you folks, and I don't want to get into the whys at the moment, but we're trying to work on some ways that we can save a significant amount of money in terms of the construction side of this. So let me keep working on that, and I don't want to talk too much about it tonight, but I may come back to you folks in terms of ESA and suggest that we spend a little bit of money with a goal of saving $500,000 or more in construction costs. So, and I'll talk to you about that more in a month or 2 when I iron out some more things. But for the moment, I just want to get the draft submitted, get the state reviewing it, and we're in the process. And hopefully in the next 3 or 4 months, they'll be able to get back to us and give us their comments and we can finalize this.
For on your first page, you got your logo and its scope of services.
Yep.
I think it says Bristol West Water Line. I think you want east there, right? And east
It says
in
west.
parentheses. Yeah, it says west. You got a mixture of east and west.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Thank you.
Yeah, second paragraph down. I think it's just twice in there, west, so we just need to swap it out.
Come on, where's that search and replace, Steve?
That's why it's draft. Thank you.
I just don't want you to provide Bristol West again.
Twice.
Me neither. Thank you. Yeah, sometimes it's hard. You stare at the same document for hours, right?
Oh, yeah, especially if it's 50 pages.
Yeah,
It's also the hazard of recycling documents.
yeah. Cut and paste.
Right. Change the dates, whoops.
No, it was more than that, but yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So that's it, really. We're just looking for approval to submit it to the state and get the process underway. All right, I don't know.
So moved.
Vote on that? I don't know.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to approve BTM's engineering, Bristol lease proposal. Project. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
I was reluctantly.
All right, I'm gonna
See that
stop.
money going out the window.
okay.
All right.
Number 5, Water Commissioner consider approval of a request by Carol and Laura Griggs for a new residential water connection off of Plank Road on 14J Drive.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank
You
you.
or Jill might want to comment on this, I don't know.
I think that's, I
Is it
think,
just kind of boilerplate?
well, I
Yeah.
think the curbs are all in now, aren't they, Jill?
If that's where I think that it is, it's actually one of the existing curbs on Plank Road.
Plank
Correct.
Road, yeah.
It is.
I
So,
would,
The curbs happen to be in on J Drive, but they haven't passed the 2 days of back T testing. The first day was done today. So Friday was pressure test and flushing. To get the chlorine all the way to the end. It sat over the weekend. This morning was flushing and back T testing, flushing all the taps and the entire line. And then tomorrow is the second set of back T tests. So you're possibly will get second set
Yeah.
of results on Wednesday, and then it would be essentially able to be connected, except I don't think you guys have a signed easement. So as far as like the permit conditions go, I don't think you're quite there. I think you're close.
for that, but 17 is the one that's a curb stop that the temporary water's hitched into.
Yeah, if I'm looking at the lot map, I think that it's the curb, it's an existing curb, so it's technically part of the permit approval, but you've also got a temp service attached to one of the other curbs, so we're in like we're almost there mode.
Working on that easement.
Yep, there's just a couple more details to clean up for everything to be like fully in compliance with the permit as issued, but we're getting there.
But for the purposes of this application, connecting to an existing curb stop, it's pretty much the typical.
That one's on the system, so they can connect to that one.
Mhm.
So,
And they haven't started building yet, so it's not, I think they're just getting their ducks all in a row.
They just want to make sure they're gonna have water. Yeah,
Yeah.
yep, exactly. And the permit condition should be the same as anybody else that's doing a new customer service to an existing curb. Which I think they're already outlined, and that's what's odd, is everything's kind of outlined in the Heffernan permit for J Drive, but it's almost like you have to transcribe those particular customer service requirements into this permit request.
Jill, just for my own knowledge, the houses that are on, what is it, Sisters Way, Sisters Drive, Sister
Be
Way,
way down, there's no houses
way
on
down,
it
and
yet.
then there's another road. Are there gonna
Yeah.
be curb stops on that road?
There
Yeah,
already
I'm
are,
working
yes.
on the easement, so
So
I'm
the
trying to-
curb stops are actually on J Drive, all of them.
Even for the houses that are off those roads?
Yes,
Yeah, the 5 new curb stops are on J Drive. They're like,
Okay,
it goes 1, 2, I think
There's
it's
two at the,
4 or
two
5.
at the road, two at the first driveway, two at the second driveway, and one at the last.
Yeah, it goes 2, 2, 1, and then there's the little flushing hydrant at the end right after that.
Okay, so there's nothing, there, you don't need the easement down those other roads, the side roads.
No.
It's just state
Not
drive. Okay.
technically, because once it leaves the curb, it's not the town of
Yep,
Bristol's
got
water
it.
system.
That answers my question.
Yeah, easier, right?
Yeah, it makes my life easier. Okay,
Okay, what's your pleasure, people? Entertain a motion?
I make a motion, we
No.
approve the application for new connection for Carol Nor Griggs for lot number, or 14J Drive, lot 5.
For the conditions outlined in the.
Per the conditions outlined in.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Staying, okay. I'm gonna walk away and let Michelle handle number 6.
I knew that was coming. Okay, water commissioner, consider conditional approval of a request by Joel Bouvier for a new residential water connection off Pine Street. And my understanding, he's got 4.
Here, I've got the map right here, you guys.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
clarify too,
Or-
it's a water line extension, it's not a residential connect, it's a 2-inch tap with a water line going to 4.
The 2-inch tap stops just past the 3/4 line that goes to lot 4. Then it reduces down to 3/4 to go to lot 5, and lot 3 and 2 will have such. Yeah, it's got a typo there. There it is, right there. I don't have, this all came because Eric called me at 8:30 Thursday morning and said, hey, we'd like to grind that Pine Street next week or the week after, because Pikes can do that. And then pave it the first week of August. And I said, Kevin, I said, Eric, I don't have. So Kevin put that together and he sent it off to Steve. And Steve and I talked on Friday, and Jill chimed in. And do I have the design done yet? No. Kevin is off this week and next week, but that's the proposal right there. 2-inch coming off, 1 2-inch coming off that 8-inch main on Pine Street to get just north of lot 4, I believe it is. That's right.
Not 3.
Just, yeah, just lot 3 or lot 4, and then it'll turn to, each lot will have a 3/4 inch K copper. Everything will be K copper to curb stops.
Does the line become the town's or is it?
All becomes the towns.
Okay.
To the curb stops. It's in that 50-foot easement right away. You can see the dotted lines on there.
No, it's not showing the curbs in there.
So we'll
They'll
need-
have to be pulled in.
So we'll need an easement too.
Each lot will have their own curb on their own property.
No, the curb's gotta be in that right.
Okay, they can be in that right away then.
Yeah, right now they're shown on the property.
Yeah.
Kevin wrote them into the property, but they will be in
Okay.
the easement.
So there will be an easement to the town.
Yep,
This
this one
one's-
needs one too.
Yeah.
And
This
there'll
one
be
all
a,
changes.
there'll be a 2-inch curb, which would be essentially the water line valve in the right of way of Pine Street.
Okay.
Because there's really no such thing as a 2-inch system valve. It's a curb, but it does the same thing. It shuts a 2-inch line.
Any other things we should be aware of, Jill, with this?
I know that Steve and I drafted up a set of conditions for the permit, but I think it's more of I think what we could probably do is allow the 2-inch tap to the curb with temporary blocking. And then once everything is finalized and they've got their permit from the state, they'll still need a water wastewater permit. Once they have that, allow the rest of the install probably. Because if the state wants something different and they install it all ahead of time, then they'd have to like rip it all out. So that's just kind of my,
Okay.
We want to do the 2-inch from the 8-inch main.
So you're
Just off the-
saying a wet tap to the curb for now.
that's what I would do, because then if the state and their water wastewater has any kind of other whatever that they change, then you don't have to undo any work. And it's also in compliance with the existing ordinance that requires the permit to be approved ahead of time.
Right. So that'll be done after they grind Pine Street and before they pave it. That's the whole point of this, is have him get that approval for, at least for that initial tap on.
Right, and Steve just sent a note saying that the immediate goal is to let the project get to the edge of the right of way so they can pave Pine Street. And then beyond the right of way, those details can still
Okay.
evolve.
I'll make a motion, we allow to do what we just talked about, with whatever
You just didn't wanna-
conditions you guys come up with.
We just didn't want to dig up the street.
Right.
We want that for the same if they were gonna pave
Right.
it August.
Well, because we'd hold that against you for at least a few years.
Forever.
Or
I've lived on that street for 37 years.
Right.
Forever.
In the day.
Yeah.
Okay, second that.
Sorry, motion second, any more discussion? I forgot where I was. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, abstaining? Motion carried.
I abstain.
You were already out of it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. I will be coming back to the board with recommendations on that. But like Griggs is there.
Okay.
Consider grant application authorization request to apply for up to 15,000 through ACRPC TAC for updated speed limit engineering study to reduce the village speed limits and Richmond study of the quantity and routes of trucks going through the village.
And we have two folks who would like to speak to this issue.
You ready to Identify yourself. and speak.
Sure, I'll start. I'm Sarah Scott. I live at 34 Sprout Street in co-housing community and lived here 6 years and love it, love it, love it. And Bristol is a wonderful town. And thank you all, especially those of you who've lived here a long time, because it's a wonderful place. We're basically here because we're just wondering about seeing if if a study could be done on the traffic coming through town. And Cheryl lives on North Street. I don't live on North, so I don't have a, as bad. But just in terms of the quantity of trucks and the pollution and the speed and the traffic and all the issues that happen when we've got such heavy traffic going through town. I'm a planner. I used to 12 years worked in local government, so I just understand the system. And in fact, we talked to Valerie a little bit, and I talked to Mike down at the Regional Planning Commission about how the TAC grants work. And he happened to say, oh, there's another opportunity coming up right now for a TAC grant. So we could do a study if you all approved and it got approved and all that kind of stuff, just to see where the trucks are coming from. Maybe everybody knows from history what's happening, and if there's a way to divert, or we should be doing something like lowering the speed limit, which I know was done or considered before. But anyway, we just wanted to bring it up to you and see if you'd be willing to put in for a grant application to just update the traffic studies that have done before, to see if there's anything that can be done to.
So there'd be two parts to this study. One is the truck traffic, the vehicular analysis, quantity, type, that speed. And the other part is to redo the traffic engineering study to revisit the lowering of the village speed limit.
When was the last time we did this?
Before my time. So
Really?
I don't know.
I didn't think it was that long ago.
No, we haven't done a traffic
Yeah,
study.
we've
No,
had
no, traffic study, but
we've had the discussion about the speed.
We had quite a few.
And
No,
that
I
was
thought we
kind
had
of a
done
I
a
think
study.
2015.
Was it?
Yeah, it's
Was
pretty
it that
Something
far?
like that, and that at that time, the traffic study did not support lowering
Right,
the speed
Right.
limit.
Do we
Well,
think,
it did for some roads,
Hmm.
roads that we
But it
thought.
didn't for the main drag.
Right.
right,
Pine Street was the one that we were looking at, especially because this project was happening with the water, so we looked at that and we know that we wanted to
Mhm.
perhaps change how traffic works on there, but actually that's the study that was done in 2015, didn't support that. It said that the majority of speeds were below the speed limit.
Yeah.
But there were other streets like Liberty, which were much higher, because people are using that as a pass through to get to, out to West Street. So, and that was much higher, so.
Okay. So if we do
But
this,
also Pine Street was looked at in Liberty, because half of Liberty doesn't have sidewalk and Pine
That's
doesn't
right.
have any sidewalk.
Right,
That's why it was really looked at,
Right.
possibly lowering it, because people walk those streets.
yeah.
so if we
I'm gonna
apply,
let- I'm gonna let this lady speak. You want to speak or no?
Yeah,
it's Okay.
So, this is a grassroots traffic audit over an 8-hour period on North, and,
I did this on a work day. I hardly got any work done that day because there was barely a 10-minute period where there wasn't heavy truck traffic going down the road. So there's 103 incidents in an 8-hour period. I have 10-inch thick walls and triple pane windows. They're closed all the time, but I can hear this. So I didn't even have to go and look and stand on the street and do that because I could hear them. And when you look at this, I also sprinkled in just loud vehicle noise. So I wanted to compare, like, where's most of it coming from? Is it the heavy dump truck type things, or, you know, because they're essential things, you know, you have to deliver oil, you have to deliver water, there's UPS, all those kinds of things. So where you see DT is what I called a dump truck, but it's the heavy trucks that are going down. So most of the traffic is the big heavy trucks. The other ones I just put into kind of as comparison, you know, like an ambulance siren or a very, very loud pickup truck. I also did these, I have one of those air filter systems because the houses are pretty energy efficient, so you have to have, you know, where it's subsidy. Yeah, so it's almost in that stroller zone, you know, where you're at localized air pollution because of the way that's kicked up off the roads. And then, I mean, it's just not trucks that are contributing, you know, if anybody's burning up with burning stove or a fire pit or, you know, whatever, there's a lot of things that cause pollution, but there are a couple of pickup trucks that I don't even know how they pass state inspection because they're putting out plumes of black diesel smoke. So this is kind of what, unfortunately I couldn't make copies of this, but I can show you here. I've got another one going. This was the first one I did. This one wasn't too bad. It was only 5 days, and the yellow was pollen. It was during the beginning of spring, right? So that was like May 12th to May 17th. That's only 5 days. Then we get to, let's see, that's 5/28 to 6/17. 5/7, okay, so, yeah, so this is the first one, the second one, the third one, and the fourth one, which is the ugliest one.
How many days apart were those?
So these are all in succession, yeah, but this was 5 days, and then this was what, like a little less than 2 weeks.
These three,
They're all like
12 to 15, 14.
yeah, like
Days
2,
apart.
3 weeks, yeah, for the last 3.
How close is your house to the road?
It's right on north. It's set back a little bit, but it's right on.
So 20 feet or something,
Yeah,
would you say, the
Yeah, so
house
there's
from the
the-
road?
I would probably say, so if that's the street where the heating system is, the house is probably, would you say that right
It's
here?
about, you know, it's right next to.
15, 20 feet.
Yeah, the backside of the sidewalk is probably 15 feet, and then the house is probably another 5-10 feet from that. So.
Okay. Alright, so the last one was done in 2015. There's information with those streets, so I definitely think it's worth updating.
What would be the goal? I mean, once we get this
Well,
study,
let me tell you where all those trucks are going right at the moment. All those trucks are coming to me.
I knew where most of them were coming from right now.
All the dump trucks are coming to me, or have been
For the
coming to me
flood.
for flood work.
Yeah.
I have the stone, the other option would be Burpee and then pulling Stone Hill, which the emissions would be way greater.
Yeah.
Pulling Stony Hill.
Right into it.
But I don't know that there's a way around,
I was
for this particular event. The stuff has been going to, Heinsberg and,
And they can't leave your
Route 17,
Moncton.
Starksboro.
Back to the village.
Yeah. So I don't know, you know, it's,
Well, that's what I was trying to figure out. I was like, okay, what are the alternative routes? There's very few
I know, like,
to route
you
them
know,
around.
it was a massive amount of trucks. Says
Oh,
the state had 8 trucks on. They were all coming there, and then we had trucks going to Starksboro, trucks going to Heinsberg.
Well, the
So I-
Starksboro trucks, they were
You definitely got your fair share of trucks for
that period.
for
I
that.
thought it was bad, it was staggering when I actually did the real.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, it's even, and you didn't get all of them because Starksboro was taken out of the pit across from Ireland Road.
her inventory was on June tenth, so that was before the. storms.
Before the storm.
Yeah, so a month before,
Right, and that was.
so-called typical day.
Yeah, well, right.
Well, it could be.
And
mean-
that wasn't even like truck traffic added in,
I mean,
I mean, car traffic added in, that was just like heavy truck and a few
Yeah.
noisy kind of things, yeah.
It's a highly used road.
Yeah, it is, and I mean, I've been wanting, when we had, it was a couple of years when we thought about lowering the speed limit to 25 in the village, with the exception of east and west and north. Our recommendation, my recommendation was, I thought we should have, and then it didn't go very far. And I wouldn't mind a traffic study to see about the village speed limits, because I travel a lot, and, I look at Danville, Proctor, those types of towns are all 25.
Yeah, and I don't know
Library,
how,
middle school.
I don't know how they get there, because the study we did
Right,
said that we should raise the speed limit on West Street because the speed is 37 up through there.
Right.
So,
Most people aren't going to speed limit.
Yeah.
well, that's a blue light situation and not a board situation. With they're breaking the speed limit, that, the fellow with the blue light will take care of that for us. When they're not dealing with other stuff.
It would be great if, yeah, I know, and another thing is that there are some, thankfully, the big trucks are kind of, most of them are on LNP tanks or whatever they are, so they're
LP.
not spewing out, but there are a couple of them that are still spewing out really dirty diesel, and pickup trucks that are spewing out really dirty, that's like the worst. It's
The-
carcinogenic, it's not good to be breathing that stuff in.
we're not supposed to stereotype, but the diesel trucks that are spewing out a lot are probably young kids who have taken.
Modified their.
Taking off the mufflers, or
Yeah, taking the.
modified their
taking the
mufflers.
emissions out.
They usually got that great big thing that comes right back
I
in
mean,
the
isn't that
cab.
against state emissions laws, though?
We also have an inspection station. We don't, there's nothing on emissions.
But cars have to get inspected.
Correct. But there's no emissions test when they're inspected.
Oh,
No.
really?
They're
Over-
required.
well, I shouldn't say
I was
that.
gonna say, you gotta.
I shouldn't say
Yeah.
that. Everything has to be intact up to a certain size vehicle. And I think you'll find that 2,500, a 3/4 ton pickup and up, it's not required that stuff be inspected.
Holy cow.
And that's the way the state law is currently.
Let's get back to
Yeah.
the speed limit, reducing the speed limit and doing the study. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bringing that up.
I'd support another speed limit. I think it's useful information. It'll be useful for our bicycle pedestrian committee. They were using that to discuss the potentially lowering the speed previously. So I think it's good to have updated information. And I think it's good to have data about amount of traffic, whether it's trucks or cars or anything sort of going through the village area. It's just useful information for a lot of different groups.
Either some of it could be like. It's gone another, like, so let's split the difference or something, like, some of it goes this way,
But
some.
we'd have to see, but yes, we are kind of limited,
The-
unfortunately, geographically.
The counters to differentiate between heavy
Right.
vehicles and light vehicles.
Right,
correct?
yeah, they have a lot of data.
Yeah.
The
I
county.
think it's based on the air or the, whatever the pressure
Right,
is.
and
it's,
the length between the axles and that
I
kind of.
wish our other board member was here, Jessica, because she lives right across the road from a speed limit sign that flashes on
Right.
East Street. We have one on North Street. I've talked to a couple that own up there for many years. And I haven't gotten a lot of info from people on West Street, but people have told me on North Street and East Street that the sun that flashes your sign tells you to slow down has worked. Your brother-in-law and your sister told me a number of times, that one on North Street really slowed the traffic down. So I think those, it said, hey, you're 35 coming in the village, slow down to 30. They work.
Those aren't there to see how fast you can make them.
No.
Man, I've been doing it wrong all these
Yeah.
years.
So in terms of, how would this be managed?
I would encourage the Regional Planning Commission to manage it, like they
Okay.
did with the previous studies that we had funded through those. And one thing we mentioned, one of the things we talked about was that, okay, so we get the study done, we get the data. And what the goal is to get a professional review, professional opinion to study this data and explore the reasonable options. And one outcome might be, there are none. That could be an outcome, that it is what it is, and maybe there are some good suggestions that could come out of it, we just don't know.
There are different ways of traffic calming. I mean, maybe there's a way to, put in some speed bumps or something. I mean, I'm not saying that is. Oh, not a chance, okay. Eric will just get, forget speed.
Not when he's gotta plow them.
Other towns and cities have speed bumps.
Well, then
In a-
they
in
can
a-
come here and plow.
In a state that has plows.
There are other things
All right,
besides
let's keep
speed
it
bumps. But anyway, but a consultant could tell us what the
Yeah.
options are.
Yeah.
And they'll say-
Actually, just a little anecdote about speed bumps, sometimes you get unintended consequences, like people jamming on their brakes to avoid the bumps and then revving once they're over the bump. So you get more noise sometimes, depending, of course.
You wanna control speed, you control it with a blue light. Plain and simple.
Well, you could be the elaborate and do those 3D speed bumps.
I know.
you know?
That's
I
right.
need I wouldn't mind a speed bump in the summertime.
Right.
Like you're
Yes.
in the winter for plowing.
They do have a.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
And laying down.
all right, so
Okay,
if this is paid for with, through TAC and all that,
Yeah.
I'm for it, but
I don't want any money coming from town.
not anybody.
no, there's no,
No, I think it definitely bears getting a traffic study
yeah,
for both speed and to see what's wrong.
yeah, I think it's great. I make a motion. to Accept it.
I'll
Grant.
second it.
Here's a motion to second, any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
All right,
Hi.
Opposed? Abstained? Okay.
Great.
Thank you, ladies.
thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
I'm gonna let Jeff just intervene for just a moment. He's not on the agenda. He didn't get his public forum. He just asked the question when we were talking about the Eagle Park, how we were with the, animal thing. And just gonna let him speak.
The large animal,
Large animal.
Not policy?
ordinance. He lives down by just the other side of that.
Jessica did take the 3 examples that I had provided to her and she blended them into a draft. I have not had a split second to even look at it. So a draft exists.
in the works.
Yeah, but yeah, there's not capacity right now.
Have you had any issues recently? Oh, no.
I guess that would.
I guess that-
Forever, and it's just, this spring, they really, I just, like, I don't know how many times you like to patch your lawn,
Oh, yeah.
but the other thing, I know my neighbor, especially one on the rescue, Dennis,
yeah.
very concerned when the horses are gonna go on 116. We're gonna have a real tragedy.
We've had that before.
We've already had that, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing he's concerned about is his horse is going through his fence and getting hurt.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Okay, well, we're working on it.
Awesome. I just.
What you read in the paper, you probably saw it, so, okay?
And this is the same. horse
The
owner?
same,
Yeah.
Mhm.
same,
Yeah, he
Yeah.
lives just before Dennis.
Okay.
The driver.
he lives actually closer to the person.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Jeff.
All right.
You
Thanks,
stay- Feel free to stay, it's riveting here. Okay, consider grant application authorization request to apply for 500, plus or minus 500,000 through the Vermont Hazardous Mitigation Grant Program, support the stormwater slope stabilization and road relocation of Basin Street project.
So this is that new funding source, $90 million that the state is offering for hazard mitigation. Pre-applications are due on August 13th. I don't believe there's a limit to how many you can apply for. So my perspective is let's apply for everything we can and hope they get ranked in such a way that we come out in a pretty good shape.
Is that the most you can apply for at one time is the 500?
To be honest with you, I did not find an upper limit. I don't believe there is an upper limit. And there's no match required.
So would that get us to the difference we need?
I don't know.
Oh.
So that's why I
I
put
was gonna
plus or
say, I would
minus.
apply for whatever we needed.
Right. Yeah, and in terms of timeline, it's hard to know, 'cause there aren't a lot of details available for that particular program right now.
Mhm.
So we just want to get our toe in the door.
Yeah.
And that's why I suggest plus or minus $500,000.
Okay.
What does,
Well, it doesn't-
any feedback from Frida on this?
No, we're working on this together.
Doesn't hurt to apply, right?
No,
I make a motion, we apply for the Vermont Hazard Mitigation Grant Program.
second.
There's a motion and a second, any more discussion?
Is this is the reimbursement kind?
They all are.
We have to have that. So what are the grants we already have for this?
Downtown Transportation Fund for $200,000, a Transportation Alternative Program Fund for $300,000, and a Stormwater Grant for $26,000.
Okay.
And
what do we need?
the cost estimate for just construction was over $1 million. This was for stormwater.
We need to find some cheaper projects.
Okay, so this
Well,
would
I'm
be,
confident we'll be able to get more funding as well, but,
okay,
anyway,
so-
that'll dovetail into another agenda item.
Yeah.
so 500, so, okay.
She was up to
About halfway there.
If we get this one, we'd be just over $1 million.
Yeah.
So right
Yeah,
now, we're
they
spending
did.
money on engineering and project management, so, that's coming out of the Transportation Alternatives Grant right now.
Okay.
And we're about $60,000 in for that so far.
All righty, any more questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Okay. I won't read that, it says 8A was Briggs Hill Grant, but basically the same one.
Same thing, yeah, same
Consider
thing,
grant application for Briggs Hill Grant. I'll
right?
just leave it
Same
at that.
program and same,
500,000.
yeah, plus or minus.
Yeah, they're gonna
And
so
this-
move.
Yeah, and this was before seeing the cost estimate.
I'd change that one to $1 million.
Yeah, but we have to have that money first, up front, right?
That's where interim financing would come in. And
Oh.
in most cases, the interest payments on interim financing are reimbursable also.
Okay.
I'm gonna abstain from that last one and for this one as well.
Why? I'm curious.
Because I need to get a better understanding of the projects. I think that, it's $1 million for that project. Even if we get those grants, we have to have $1 million to do the project. And I think that we're just in a very concerning area, because as a select board member, I don't understand the projects that we have and that we're applying for. And it's very easy to apply for these things, but it's all something that we need to have. And once we commit to this, we have to spend it. So I have a lot of concerns until we can talk about that further.
Well,
I can't
we're gonna
support
talk
it.
about it a little bit later on the agenda, but then also on August 12th and the following meeting on the 26th, we're gonna be talking in depth about the capital improvement plan.
Yeah. But I think, yeah, so that's why I'm
Okay,
staying for these.
that's fair.
So, wait a minute, let me back up a little. Number eight, we voted. I thought you said.
I didn't say anything.
He didn't
Okay.
vote.
Which I should
I'm
have
sorry.
said abstain, I'm sorry.
Say abstain, you
Yeah.
abstained on that one, so. And I get where you're coming from, if we gotta borrow this for, because we're already,
I know,
we've gotten, you said it. on the
And if we
basis.
borrow and then we don't get the,
yes.
yeah.
Well, you wouldn't borrow unless you get the grant.
No, but it's just,
And
we
in fact,
have,
a bank wouldn't lend you the money unless you
Right.
had the.
no, we have
Right, yeah.
so many projects that have, as I said, that have such high dollar amounts that we're ending up having to take out loans to cover this amount of money. And that could have interest associated with it, and after the problems that we ran into with the Pine Street water line, which is just the beginning
Yeah,
of that
Street.
massive project. That was 780,000 a loan that we've just taken out, so I need to just get a better handle of it before I can
I
commit to these.
can't disagree with that, on that, Ian, I really do, because right now, are we spending money on Basin Street?
Right,
And we don't know whether we're gonna complete it, because we haven't got all the grant money, right? But we're getting design work done and project management costs, and you said we're into about 60,000.
But that's all stuff you need in order to be able to apply for it.
Right.
It's a
Right.
double, it's a
It's a
double.
double
edged
sword.
sword.
I totally understand, it's just sort of.
Oh, I know you understand. I
Right.
get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I just,
Okay, this one's the
Yeah.
Briggs Hill grant, and we know that one is gonna be well over $1 million, over $2 million. I found 44,000 in that list, says flaggers, 44,000, just close the road until we get the project, we don't need flaggers at top and bottom, road goals.
Well, you also got streetlights in there for 10.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so anyway, we're on Briggs Hill.
Is there a timeline on this grant?
Which one?
The ones you're applying for right now? for the
All I
Briggs
know,
Hill?
right now is the pre-application is August 13th. I have not had time to study the.
And the only reason I ask is because for the Briggs Hill, we're kind of waiting on information and making the decision. I hate to apply for,
Yeah.
can
Yeah,
you,
but at least you're in the queue.
well, that's what I'm saying. Can you then say, no, we don't
Yeah,
want the grant?
absolutely.
We don't have to take them. Just because we apply doesn't mean we have to take them.
That's exactly right.
Because as you know, with a lot of these grants, free money isn't free.
Yeah, no.
There's a lot of hoops to jump through.
Right.
But this 500,000, if they did get it, we could say, we're not saying no, we're not saying yeah right now for it. We could just say till we get like that, when he said about the feds, FEMA won't pay for some things. If we get close to it and say you're 400,000 off, then we'll take the 500 because we need 400,000
Right.
more or whatever.
But I still think Grace Hill needs more discussion.
Yeah, I do. It needs a lot more discussion.
Yeah.
I'm not ready to put 2.4 million into it.
No, I won't ever vote to put $2.5 million into that road.
Okay, so we're on Briggs Hill grant, same as the 8, but it's 8A.
Mhm.
All those in favor, did I get a motion a second on that? No, not yet.
I didn't see the application in there. All of a sudden
It was-
the
we
one on
just- we
basis-
added
We added this to the,
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Val sent it, late this afternoon.
I'll make the motion.
okay.
I'll second it because I know Ian's not gonna.
Okay,
Well, he could, he's just not gonna vote.
Yeah, you could. All those in favor of applying for the Briggs Hill grant, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained,
Abstain.
okay. All right.
Hello,
9,
Hello?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, who is it?
It's Frida joining. Hello.
Oh,
Hi,
hi,
Frida.
Frida.
Oh, hi, Frida.
Hi, guys.
You're only in as
I've
a
been
telephone
listening,
number, so
waiting
we
for
didn't know it was
Grant.
you.
What's that,
That's me.
Frida?
I've been listening, waiting to hear about Briggs Hill stuff and also for grant stuff. And if I may just take a moment to chime in, is that okay?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Please
please.
do.
So I would, I totally appreciate that you guys were cautious about your spending. That's due diligence, excellent job. For this hazard mitigation funding, there is an open meeting, like an open hours meeting next Wednesday, so a week from this Wednesday, where you can ask questions. So I've been listening to your discussion, and I would like to propose on your behalf that I get some clarification on that spending. Is it reimbursement because it is ARPA related money, and different divisions of the state have been putting different parameters around it. So some of them have been front loading, some of them are very clearly saying it's reimbursement style. So I can get clarification on that, as well as if there's a maximum ask amount. Valerie and I looked, we did not see a maximum ask amount, but we should probably get clarification on that. And the two projects that Valerie is talking about applying for, I would encourage you to apply for both of them because they're projects that are already underway in some regard, the Basin Street project and Briggs Hill. So while I do applaud you for being cautious about spending, those are projects that you're already committed to spending on, and there are huge funding gaps. So I would encourage us to apply. It's actually a pre-application. It's not even the actual application part yet, in mid-August. So food for thought. We do have time to get clarification. And if you don't feel like it's the proper road to apply for those funds come mid-August, we will not. But I would encourage you to at least consider it, just because they're projects you're already committed to spending for.
For the Briggs Hill, are we committed to that? I know that we've been doing obviously the engineering studies, but are we committed to actually
Fixing it?
fixing it? Or do we have the option to not fix it?
You are right, actually. That one you are not committed on. I
Okay,
guess I
for
did.
the Lincoln one we are, or the Basin Street, sorry.
Lincoln Road and Basin Street you are.
Okay,
I don't think we're proposing to apply for these funds for Lincoln Road because it's already, the construction part, I think will be started before this application opens up.
okay. All right, thanks for that.
Thank you. Okay, so
Thank you.
okay. We're still in the 8A, Briggs Hill grant. We have a motion and a second by Peter and Michelle. So all those in favor, Briggs Hill grant applying for, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain?
Staying.
Okay, the ayes have it. Consider grant number 9, consider grant application authorization request to apply for up to plus or minus $20,000 to the Vermont Hazardous Mitigation Grant Program to upsize the culvert on Upper Meehan Road. This is the one that Derek was talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
he actually wanted to upsize that after the last storm, when we did the one further down the road, we put we put a 4-footer in place of a 3. And he wanted to upsize it, and it didn't wash out, so go and wait.
Yeah.
It still didn't wash
So what is it?
out,
So what is it now?
totally.
What's the culvert now?
gonna double it, 4-footer?
And then by my way, go to 5.
Okay,
I don't know, but did you see that one from, Spear Street Extension that got taken out?
I did not.
Oh my God, that thing was huge. Then
I
it
know,
took it
my
out.
thought is to go to a 4-footer in that one there as well. So, and maybe, Kobe and I were talking about it when we were up there, couple of the culverts up there flushed out, so we were cleaning the lower ends out before the rain, coming down. And, Kobe and I were talking, putting the 4-footer in where the 2-footer is, and then moving the 2-footer down the road, I don't know, 50, 60 feet down the road and putting it in there, because there where the Lyman's old driveway is, that water doesn't ever make it to the culvert that crosses the road, because it's gotta go uphill. So I wanna move that 2-footer down, catch the water coming from Lyman's old driveway, and then any overflow, if it happened to get overflow from the 4-footer, would go down that and then out the 2-footer as well. So that was my plan if we got the grant.
Is there a culvert where you'd be putting the 2-footer? Is there?
No.
So you'd.
Yeah,
permission to put water. across
Yeah,
it from-
but the water's, as far as where the water's going, it's still gonna be going in the same area,
Ravine.
yeah, so it's not gonna,
Which
It's not
culvert is
gonna-
this? Is this the one up high or is this the one down low?
one right down in the gully, right below Baby Dolls in the gully.
I don't know who Baby Doll is. but-
Three Murrays.
Murray's.
Roger Murray's.
Okay, you know where Driscoll's live?
You know where the
Upper Meehan,
Upper Meehan with the little pipe in the ground that sticks out in the water,
Yeah.
shoots all winter long, makes a great big huge ice
used
circle.
to years ago.
The only one I could think of is right at the bottom of the.
No, you're
No,
not, even-
just
you're
as you
not
go
anywhere.
straight up.
Oh, yes, she used to.
Just
yeah.
as you go straight up, you have Carolyn Briggs' house that used to be there, which is now, I don't know who, you're up farther than
Yeah,
that.
so we're,
You're the last dip
Gonna get
before
you
you
guys
get
out
to
of
the
here by
town line.
9:15.
So you're up at the
Oh.
top. Oh, up
so
at the
down
other
in
end.
the dip.
Okay,
We're up at the top of Upper Meehan heading down the other way, or we're still
No,
this way?
where,
We're
do you
back
know where
this
the
way.
town line is?
No.
You know where Dave Bedard lives?
Yeah, I know
Okay,
it's right there somewhere, I don't know.
It's back from him, top of the hill.
Top of the
So
hill.
It's the dip, if you were headed down to your house, it'd be the first dip.
First dip, okay, all right,
That's
yeah,
where-
I know where you are.
Put the bigger one in there.
Okay, but that's not where you put the two in, you
The
put them at
additional
the.
one would be just down the road from that one, about 60 feet.
What do you need to put that in? You got
What's that?
state permission?
To put it in?
Yeah.
No, money.
No, to put the culvert in where there's not a
The
culvert.
2-foot.
Oh, easements.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Or the property owner, just to allow water to run on it, because where I wanna put the 2-footer, there's technically water hasn't been run
Yeah.
on their
Yeah,
property.
you create that.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it's in the same ravine that the 4-footer is gonna run in, or where it's running into now.
Yeah, okay.
So,
okay. Alrighty,
So 20,000, what's that estimate date? Is that your?
and that's based on the culvert, and I'm also considering putting an actual cement head wall on this one.
That's installed, I mean, under 20 or 20?
Yeah, we'll put the pipe in and then
Okay.
have, like, say, Lori Concrete or somebody come in and do the head wall.
But this one didn't wash out.
Yes,
Oh, it did wash out.
yeah, that was the one that on the upper mean, I said to wash out the lower end of it.
Got it, okay,
This is the one.
okay.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve the grant
And-
application.
If you want, I think
Is there a
it's out
second?
there. Frida's got pictures I
Hold
sent
on.
him.
Okay.
you gotta get a second. Okay,
Second,
alright, cause it washed out, is there any little bit of FEMA money left for that? No,
No.
didn't do enough? Okay. Any more questions on that? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
So I have a question about,
stay, okay.
Eric, do we have enough damage for any kind of FEMA? I mean, has all that been submitted to them just for them to get that in there?
As much as we can.
Okay.
I think, for this time around, we also said
It wasn't, for
enough
the, other than the Briggs Hill,
for the amount of aggravation.
it wasn't worth adding any of the extra. I mean, it would help the state. get
That's
the
what I was
threshold.
thinking, more with the state,
And I kept track of all the time and the gravel,
Mhm.
that we used, but,
so far.
I mean, we've gotta have some more damage at Briggs Hill we could submit.
and, so, but as far as actually getting reimbursed for FEMA for the stuff, it took us a day and a half, 2 days tops to fix everything that we had, so.
With the exception of Briggs Hill.
With the exception of Briggs Hill, and the
And
aggravation of FEMA, no,
A little bit of
A
Ireland.
little bit of Ireland Road too.
yeah, I gotta still get that done. That one there, Ballard just have to do that. That one will be put in.
Okay.
9A, I got loan doc.
Well, before we move on to that, on the screen is an outline of what this hazard mitigation program will fund, some of the eligible activities. And since the deadline for the pre-app is the 13th, which is a Tuesday, and the select board is meeting on the 12th, one of the things that we might talk about as another grant possibility through this program, at the next meeting on the 12th, we're going to have a presentation about the municipal energy resilience programs, or MERPs. The 3 studies for Howden Hall, Holly Hall, and the library, and some of the energy efficiency recommendations. A total of $500,000 is up to $500,000 is available to each community, eligible community, in which Bristol is one, to implement these different projects for the different buildings. My guess is we're gonna hit that $500,000 threshold pretty quickly. So I'm thinking that we might want to try to get some of this money, or at least get in the queue for these, the energy, the heat pump, and some of the other improvements for the upstairs of Holly Hall that we've been talking about, heating and cooling, that kind of thing. And one of the things that would, I think, increase our competitiveness is the fact that Holly Hall is a shelter location. So there's definitely an emergency management connection there. So, and I just wanted to mention that, put that out there. It's not on the agenda now. It came late in the thought process, but we might want to put that on for the 12th.
But 2 of the things up there under infrastructure projects is, Eric just mentioned one, upsizing undersized infrastructure such as bridges. and-
That's where he's putting the $20,000.
That's where you're getting,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
All right.
exactly.
Then the road relocation, there's the one we're talking about.
Briggs Hill, not Briggs Hill and Basin Street.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay,
so yeah, all of those
All right.
things,
so 9A, loan docs. I
Right.
just wrote down you one.
right. So, obviously, the select board approved going forward with the Pine Street loan. So that paperwork has been submitted and approved, and now the next step is to actually draw the money down. And one of the things that the program requires is to identify an authorized representative. And the last time that I could find the authorized representative was identified, it was Jen Myers. So we need to, obviously, we need to select somebody new, and Sharon agreed to be that contact person. So there's, just needs to be authorized and signed.
Second. There's a motion and a second to have Sharon be the loan doc.
Authorized signer.
We have, so because of that, that's why we haven't received that.
Well, partly, and because I've just been freaking straight out.
Right.
So, there aren't enough hours in the day.
Right.
So,
So everybody understand that?
Yeah.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Okay.
Let's see.
I mean, I started the process today,
Just
that's how I came
Number
along.
10.
this
Yeah,
document,
there's-
so.
This
Preliminary
is the bottom line,
preliminary
because Joel
review
has
and
his own line.
discussion of the proposed capital improvement plan.
Right, so this should be fairly quick.
Oh, chair of legislative body.
Yeah. Let me see if I can find my document here. Windows open. So let's see here.
And this goes back to Ian's comments earlier about we got a lot of stuff,
Mhm,
projects, and
right.
I still would, I'm gonna put it under my select board roundtable, is I still would like to squeeze in a
what?
road trip.
Oh,
See
absolutely,
these projects and
Right.
see Briggs Hill.
right.
Oh, the road trip didn't happen?
No,
No, because you weren't here.
Right.
Oh, thanks.
We wanted you to be there.
Right,
Oh, I had a
we had
line of duty
definitely-
death funeral to go to.
right.
You weren't here. That was another
I was
contributing
dressed and ready to
factor.
Well, and
go,
also
and
Jessica,
I had no idea why. I just got the
Yeah.
email that
Yeah.
said, it's canceled.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So you may recall that, well, you've been seeing parts of this for years now, because it's been something that I've been trying to put together that didn't exist before then.
Mm.
Of being able to see the big picture of all the different projects going on. And so during our different budget seasons, I shared with you what I had compiled so far. And it's been a challenging process because it's not all the information is readily at hand, like loans or trying to track down all the different loan details and timelines and put them together into a big picture. So you've seen snippets of it. And what's really brought it to this point is our downtown designation renewal application. It requires a capital improvement plan be adopted. And the state statute has a process for doing that. And it's very similar to adopting a zoning regulation. It's considered a bylaw. And so it needs to go through the public hearing process, and it doesn't need to be adopted by voters. It can be adopted just by the select board. So that's what this is attempting to do. And it's more than just the tables. There's more meat and meat on the bones. And so what I have set up is that because this is still very much a draft document, it's still shaping up, and it's quite frankly time consuming because there's a lot to it, and I want to show you why. But so I'm proposing that we have a preliminary public hearing on the 12th so that we can see how things are shaping up. Naturally, there'll be questions, and I'll show you how far I've gotten and things I'm still working on. And then I propose that we have a final public hearing on the 26th. That way the document is in a more complete form. And I met with the Planning Commission last Tuesday and introduced this whole concept to them as well. And I'll get to more about that in a minute. And in each case, in my presentation to the Planning Commission and to the Select Board, it's not going to be perfect. It's a work in progress document, and you'll see why. But anyway, I just want you to see, this is the public hearing notice that I sent off today to the paper because it needs to be in Thursday's paper in order to be a valid public hearing notice. So just to give you a heads up that that's that. And so now I will go to the other document. Let's see. Switch windows, get out of that. So this is just a quick overview of what to expect next time. So this narrative document will lay the basis of this document, the capital plan. The auditors define a capital plan or capital project as $5,000. And it's something with a useful life of more than 10 years, but other sources have different definitions. So I think we intellectually can know what a capital project is. And that includes engineering studies and other things that support the actual construction of something down the road. So this is how the document is shaping up, and an important part of it, and this is outlined through the statutory guidelines. The required elements of a capital improvement plan is to show the connection to the town plan. And this is where I think this is going to be very helpful to the Planning Commission going forward. Because right now, it's hard to know the level of awareness of Planning Commission members at any given time that they're working on a town plan of what the total scope of capital needs are for the town. They might have individual pieces of knowledge, but maybe not necessarily the big picture. And so this document will be an important foundation for the Planning Commission going forward to kind of lay out the kinds of infrastructure that it would be really beneficial to be included in the town plan, in the utilities section, in other different sections of the town plan that talk about public facilities, public services, and that kind of thing. So this is the 2020 town plan, and it just highlights some of the goals and policies that relate to infrastructure or other capital types of projects. So I'm just scrolling through so you can get a sense of what it looks like. And then, and it's, I have to say, it's a little on the thin side for the town plan. And then in the appendix, which is near the end, there's I excerpt the implementation strategies that the town plan includes that relate to capital projects. And it'll be beneficial going forward for the future town plans to cover more of this stuff as it relates to funding applications. The more that we can articulate through to various funding agencies that these are clear priorities, that they're not just flashes in the pan just to take advantage of a grant. They're real needs that the town has gone through the process to prioritize. And I also thought it would be worthwhile to show the recent things, capital improvements that in the recent years, because there have been substantial ones. And again, it communicates to the community and to funding agencies that the town has a track record of investing in infrastructure and a commitment to ongoing investment. And obviously this is all a work in progress. A lot of it's just, I'm just trying to pull it out of anything I can find. And I just haven't had the time to fill in all the different blanks, but it just takes time to track it down. And then the different project descriptions, I'm going to organize it by department. And it's not going to be a lot of detail, but still, I just want to hit the highlights so that it's on the list. And it shows that these, like buildings, now we have a lot of building needs, and the town-wide reappraisal and cemeteries. We need to be investing in the cemeteries. And in this type of narrative, I will comment that the town has created these reserve funds as a funding mechanism, and I'll talk about more about that in a minute. And again, rec department kinds of things, bandstand, skate park. So they'll be on the list. And the police department, you know, what we're doing with that. Public works, the new facility, the facility analysis, different vehicles, roads and bridges. Eric brought up this afternoon, reminded me that the Harvey Road Bridge, it's a class 4 road. And there's a lot of stuff happening on there now with the Willowell and this residential subdivision. So do we want to include that in the capital plan for future upgrade or a study of it or something like that? So that's the kind of thing that we would want to include in a document like this. And it also, as a planning tool for the planning commission and going forward, it tells the planning commission to look at Harvey Road. What does Harvey Road look like from a broader planning perspective? And then the state statute requires some sort of financial analysis, some fiscal impact analysis on the tax rates. Now, that's not an area that I have a lot of strength in, so I will rely on existing information for that. And here we go into the tables that you're familiar with. You've seen them. These are organized by reserve funds, and these basically represent the things we've talked about. So no surprises here, and it reflects the current balances as of June 30th and the things we have scheduled. So the fire department, the public works, capital equipment, we're in pretty good shape in most of these programs. The capital roads, I think no surprises here. We have a lot going on with capital roads. We just talked about a lot of them tonight. And right now, this is what I could capture. And one of the goals for the August 12th and the hopefully August 12th, and things will be more tightened up by the 26th. But you know, what's missing? What other things should we be thinking about or including on this list? So this is a work in progress. And at the moment, given what we have on the list, the Basin Street, Lincoln Road, Briggs Hill, and we of course didn't know about the Briggs Hill number at that time, but based upon what I knew then, we're $92,000 in the hole for the capital reserve fund for those existing projects, not including Briggs Hill. And we have some different options that we can talk about for that. This is the only reserve fund grouping where it's a negative number. All the others are well planned and paced. But all the stuff that's happening right now and what we can project with the timelines, we're $92,000 in the hole.
Where's the water line?
That's different. This is general fund.
Okay.
And this is just the capital roads fund. The option there, and I mentioned it right here, is ARPA funding. It's right there. There's $249,000 available. Or we could do a short-term loan. That's an option also. For whatever it is, or take a risk or whatever, roll the dice on anticipated undesignated fund balance and kind of pre-allocate something to it. Because we always seem to have one at the end of the year. Paving, the projects that we knew about, so I'm still plugging in certain things.
Can you go back to the capital roads?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're 92 in the hole here, but as you project further
Right.
forward.
Yeah.
We're now at 1.1 million in the hole, correct?
Well, yeah, for now. Haven't mapped everything out going forward yet.
Okay.
But this is useful for funding agencies because it shows the gaps that we need. And it shows, this kind of document shows that the broad spectrum of the town's capital needs and where the gaps are. And that's why we need the grant funds, that kind of thing. But it also shows that we're making a commitment to getting these things done.
Yeah, if you don't identify the gaps, you don't know where they are.
Right.
That's
But
just-
Part of it looks, I look at that and say, we have some really poor planning.
Yeah.
That's what I see.
no, I mean, some of those things.
Are unpredictable.
That's right, are unpredictable, but others are larger projects that we've taken on, I think. And now we're seeing what the consequences of that is. You know, and you said it's only this one that we're in a negative, but it's a pretty large negative.
If it stays, I mean, if it continues out.
No, I know that it'll adapt, but it's something that, you know, we have to be aware of that.
Right.
Well, it's
putting
not like,
ourselves-
it's not like projects are gonna go away either.
No, I know,
You
and
know,
so you're
more
have
are gonna
more-
come.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, and the other point that's important to keep in mind is this is a planning tool. That this doesn't obligate the town to do anything. Except for the current year, the FY 25 that we're in, you've already voted on that, you've already budgeted for that, voters have already approved that at town meeting. So that's reflects what voters have already approved, the rest of it is for planning.
Speculation.
Right, and so that's the purpose of this document. And the state statute is set up to make sure that, or to try to ensure that communities take a broad view of these things and that the planning commission is involved. In fact, the review process, very similar to the zoning regs, the planning commission needs to be given an opportunity to comment, which is one reason why I met with them on Tuesday, showing that this is still a work in progress and they'll have opportunity to comment for the 12th or the 26th if they're inclined. They don't have to, but they have to be given the opportunity. So they've seen this and they know it's coming, so.
The top one, Munsell Avenue drainage, where are we with that? I see you got no money.
Right, I didn't have the numbers.
I haven't priced anything out yet.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
talked about that 2 years on a road trip, 2 years ago about, let's get some.
Yeah, and those numbers, yeah, so when we put those numbers in, that 92,000 is gonna increase. So, yeah,
And some of those.
But I thought, didn't we want to get from Steve an idea if we're gonna do that in
Yeah,
2026, that water line, we incorporated all?
Yeah, he's got it in the works. I've met with him this spring. And we went over where the drainage and stuff would go and all that and where the pipes would go. So he's gonna have that all in the prints. And everything.
Mm.
And what structures we were gonna put in the ground. He's got all that information. But if the town's gonna buy the structures and they're not gonna bid them out, then it runs about $3,500 to $3,800 per structure. Not including the pipe.
But I don't know where we stand on getting off topic or
No.
capital projects.
Yeah.
Where we stand about the Munsell Avenue sidewalk.
Well, that's in this next one, the sidewalk reserve fund. This is an opportunity to list all those things that are in the sidewalk replacement plan and try to map it out. Of course, the estimated cost per linear foot is a crapshoot, so you never quite know. And this, of course, this list is subject to change. Again, this is a planning tool, and it's a place to start.
Okay.
And we have the Airport Drive project, which we did get a grant for, $300,000.
That's not gonna be done this fall.
No, because we still need to hire the engineering firm to do the design and the construction documents for bidding. Well, all we have
That's
done,
how, I thought that the design was done.
we have a scoping study.
Scoping study.
Yeah, which the Regional Planning Commission paid for $15,000. But now the next step is, okay, now that we've got the grant funding, now we need to hire the engineering firm to actually do a design plan and put it out to bid for us. So that's part of the
The
three.
school was gonna have to pay for it.
Exactly, yeah, and the sidewalks reserve fund was going to also contribute toward that. So this is an effort to project how that's going to shape
Okay.
up. Then I also listed the West Street scoping study that we applied for a bike ped grant for. So that's in the queue. We haven't heard back yet about that. There's the Munsell Avenue sidewalk. Right now, that's way out here in whatever year that is. I couldn't get the headers to repeat without messing things up. So that's FY28. Because, we just have the scoping study for that. And quite honestly, the public feedback on that project was not very strong.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't very strong. And so in terms of priority, it didn't seem to rank among other things. So that's why it's further out.
Wait, which one didn't?
The
Munsell
Munsell
Avenue,
Avenue.
we got a lot right.
Yeah,
Yes.
right out there.
Okay.
And then the Basin Street Improvement Project. By the time Basin Street is under construction for sidewalks, we're talking out FY28. So, and we can anticipate that we can tap into the sidewalk reserve fund for part of that project cost.
I would have liked to see us do some sidewalk repair this year, but it's not gonna happen, I realize, but I definitely want to see something for 25.
Mhm,
I'd like to see it out to bid by January 1st,
mhm,
so many feet. And that's what I wanted to do on the road trip, is look
mhm.
some sidewalks.
Well, I attempted to measure out Garfield Street, but that was the day that my car keys got stolen. So I
Oh,
kind
boy.
of messed things up. And I didn't quite get back on track. Say that again?
It's a good planning tool. Like you said, it's a document that changes
Mhm.
almost daily.
Yeah, and again, it shows that the sidewalk reserve fund is in good shape with all of these just different projects and the capital appropriations. This also is a useful tool to see, are the appropriations enough? Maybe sometimes depending on the pace of things, perhaps you can reduce it one year, but increase it the next year or something like that, just to try to keep one of the objectives, and it's outlined in the state statute, is to keep the tax rate level stabilized. So there might be some years where it's, the needs vary. So it just gives you, this is an opportunity to take a forward look.
Okay.
I added a cemetery fund. We created a new cemetery reserve fund. We allocated $10,000 to it. It's earned $6 of interest.
Wow.
Yeah. And so
Okay.
for example, in this, I proposed that going forward, we allocate $5,000 a year toward that, so that we can keep ongoing cemetery improvement projects.
I'm gonna spend some of that for 10 grand cleaning out those trees
Right.
and stuff.
Right, and we also established a new recreation equipment and facilities reserve fund, and we allocated $10,000 to that. So just for planning purposes, I show allocating $5,000 going forward. And then, so those are the reserve funds, and then I added a new section, financed by general fund. And I had this emergency management category, but I don't know that it needs to be separated that way. Could all just be general fund. Because right now we have two different grant programs going on that are 100% funded by Vermont Emergency Management. One is the local hazard mitigation plan update, which is very time sensitive right now, especially since the storm from earlier this month. And if we do get another disaster declaration, since our plan is currently expired, we need to have it submitted to FEMA within 30 days of the emergency in order to qualify for any additional funding. So we are breaking records on trying to get this thing done. In fact, we had a 2-hour meeting this afternoon. We're gonna have another 2-hour meeting on Monday next week. Met I forget what, last week. So we're really hustling to get this thing together.
Taxville's in the same boat.
Yeah, yes, it is. Yes, it is.
And the same person that's doing this is doing tax bills.
Exactly. And those are capital projects because they're real money. And they are also they form the basis for other projects. The other one is an engineering study, scoping study for the Mountain Street drainage by the elementary school and evaluating how to upsize the culvert and whatever.
The beaver dam.
Yeah, that whole thing.
Okay,
And it turns out that was even listed in the existing hazard mitigation plan that expired. That's listed in there, so, but that's a project that's ongoing that will ultimately lead to another capital project, construction project. So then the general stuff, this village traffic study, I just threw that in there, just to show that this is something that the town is considering. And we have a potentially $15,000 grant to cover it. So those are just quick examples. And then the contributions to the reserve funds. This is where it all kind of comes together. And you can see that with the two new reserve funds, the recreation and the cemetery, we're at 582,000 going forward. And then I try to consolidate the debt picture where we are with borrowing. And so this shows the annual general fund debt. This isn't the water or sewer. So there's those annual debt payments currently. And so the total capital investments through the reserve funds and through loan payments is just over $800,000 a year. And looking at this projection, it's pretty stable the way it's going, although we haven't done more of the capital road stuff, but based on this, it looks fairly stable. And then I get into police, which is still a work in progress because it's complicated. And then water and sewer also works in progress because there's just a lot. And trying to track all this information down and make sure it's accurately represented in these tables in a useful way. And then it goes on to the appendices. I want to show that, at least show that we've done capital planning through the town report. So these are the excerpts of the town report that show that we've been doing capital planning. And those have been in the capital plan basically all these years, is the town report. And if for these new programs in the downtown renewal, they're requiring more than this. So this just shows that what we've been planning for in the town report. And this, then let's see, and all this information is reflected in those tables. And then this is the appendix 2, which summarizes the implementation strategies in the town plan that relate to infrastructure. And so this is a way to articulate that what we're proposing in those tables up above and in the narratives, there's a correlation in the town plan for those, that they're, that we're.
Tying everything together.
Yeah. So those just show, that's just a straight out of the town plan, and I highlighted the relevant sections. Then this one is an attempt to just quantify, just in a single location, our vehicles, the fire department vehicles, police department vehicles, public works, and kind of map out the replacement schedule. So again,
You got that yellow one, I think, wrong.
yeah.
You're gonna get 3,000 gallons of water on a F-550.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if we still have that anymore. That's why it's highlighted, because I'm not sure if that's something that we got rid of
I
already.
didn't know we had that.
Yeah, you got, yeah.
So anyway, so I'm gonna need help from a lot of other people to help me fill in a lot of this. And some of this is already available. I just need to track it down. So more, the recreation van we just got. And then this is the tax comparison. Again, this is out of the town report, so I don't have to reinvent that wheel, but there it is, and that would satisfy the state requirement for that. And that's the end of it for now.
Well,
A lot
so,
of work.
right, it's a ton of work, but it's a useful plan. There's a couple things. So
Mhm.
this will be the last time we renew. they're changing it. And so you don't have to renew again. And we're the last town that needs to renew.
Oh, good cheapers.
And we asked if we had to renew, and they said yes, unfortunately.
For
And
what,
we-
our downtown?
Yes.
Downtown. And we're.
But I don't know going forward, because there's this downtown vibrancy fund.
Right.
Where the state is actually giving money to the towns to support downtown groups. I don't know if this will then become part of that. The idea is that with the renewal, you can do your strategic plan for 5 years or 8 years, and then you can justify what you've done over that time period. I think now that they're hopefully funding this, and hopefully that funding will continue, there'll probably be this kind of reporting in there. Probably not in this amount of detail, but I would think that if they're supporting you with funding, they would probably want
Right.
pretty good information about what you're doing with that funding.
Right, right. So my goal too with this is, it's a lot of work up front for sure. But once it's done, it's done. That it can live beyond me or any of us, and be carried forward by future folks, that there's a framework to work from, you just update it. And so hopefully that'll be helpful going forward.
It's great. I think, so we talked a little bit about this, maybe chatting about this in the 29th meeting. Is that possible?
Chatting about what?
What you just talked about,
No,
especially,
we're gonna do it on the 12th.
but that's gonna be a public. I think we need to do it before. public.
You wanted to have another.
Well, because I wanna talk about the systems that we have in place that contain this information. I think we need a way to have multiple people access it. I think we need to get away from the spreadsheets and the Word docs, because it's not a system where multiple people can access it and be able to update and see changes in version. And I think we need to involve more people in this process.
Well, that's possibly a topic for the 29th, and we have other things to talk about on the 29th.
Right, no, I know.
Yeah,
But I guess we'll wait till 29th. But if more people can change it, then is it
No,
fluid?
Yes,
I'd like more people to look at it.
You
but
have
not-
control over who can change what, yeah. But there's just, in the format it's in, like a lot of our documents, especially the budgeting, it's individual spreadsheets that have no kind of versioning, and we can never look at something that we feel is the most accurate, because it's changed so much. Or we have to ask one person, Val, do you have the latest documents? And I want to try to move away from that. I think all the town staff, especially department heads, should be able to access this kind of information and have the ability to get to it without having to ask a single person. And I think it benefits Sharon, I think it benefits Chris, it benefits AZ to be able to see this and have, like as you said, more people know this information.
I think this could be part of the conversation on the 12th.
Right.
Because that would be an open session discussion.
Okay.
It's a procedural, in fact, that's a capital
I'm gonna try to
project.
keep us moving along.
You're talking about new software, basically.
Well, it depends what it
And,
is.
well,
It's
probably.
something, it's a discussion that we need to involve other people with.
Well, I'll just say to the fire chief should only see only can make changes to his stuff.
Sure.
With Valerie.
Right.
And not go in and say, I think I'll change Eric's, and Eric and Valerie. should
No,
be able to
but the
talk
idea is
about
that we all know about it. And that was my
Right.
concern
Everybody go
with
in
the
and see it and
project,
change it.
is that we don't know
I don't
about
think it's
them.
gonna work either.
There's no area that we can go. It's all based on
Okay.
meetings that we've had in the past, and it's changed by then.
Okay, we all set there, Valerie?
Yeah, so that was, no action is required. I just wanted to give you a heads up about what to.
No, that's an amazing amount of work. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Okay, 10A, leave of absence for up to a year for,
Motion to approve James Goodyear's leave of absence for a year.
Second.
there's a motion and a second. Wishing well, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Authorize accounts payable warrant, any liquor or tobacco licenses. Michelle, you got those in front of you somewhere? Pretty good amount.
Oh,
I'll just get those for you.
thank you. The amount is $436,673.26. And I did not see any liquor licenses.
I didn't either. Okay, those are done. Select board roundtable, let's start with you, Peter.
Oh, I pretty much went off earlier.
Okay.
I just, I just find it very frustrating when we can't accomplish stuff. And, the water lines were a key example of stuff that we, kick down the road and kick down the road when we already had stuff in place to deal with them. I think we're doing the same thing with the School Street water line that we need to get straightened out and make a decision and move forward. And, you know, we're not always gonna all agree on everything. It just need to keep moving. And I'll leave it at that.
Oh, he is.
I'm good, thanks.
Michelle?
I'm good.
I just had a couple of three things. Are we still want to do a road trip?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay, let's try to fit that in Mallory sometime. Can you throw me some dates and we'll throw them out to people, or
Well, it's,
you said Eric's back now from vacation for a little while.
No, you got 5 more weeks now.
Got 5 more weeks.
The week,
7 weeks.
the week of July 29th is fairly flexible, although we're meeting on the 29th with a special meeting, but the road
That's
trip
one for the,
doesn't have to be on a Monday.
if we can do, if you're gonna do it on start at 3, a Tuesday would work better for me. Then I don't have to leave work early.
okay,
So if we could do it the 30th or whatever after that, and field days week is, no, I could probably do it during midtime.
It's like Tuesday the 30th.
I can probably.
We
do
will
it
have a
during-
meeting the day before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, it's not like we haven't done that before.
Is that good for you, Tuesday the 30th?
Yes.
Okay,
30th, you don't meet?
And 3.
To the fourth or whatever.
The 6th.
6th.
Okay. let's
That's
shoot
field
for
days week.
Yep.
You gonna have meet that week?
July 30th
You're saying
At
3
3?
for you though.
at 3.
Yeah. I'll come
3 AM or 3 PM?
See a lot at 3 AM.
For the July 29th, do you want to meet at 6?
That's a question.
July 29th, yeah, let's do 6.
Okay, wait a minute. 29th at 6.
That would probably work well for Sharon and Chris also.
Yeah. And a meeting on the 31st. And then the 2nd.
Righty,
Is that a special meeting?
Yes.
They both will be,
29th and the 30th.
yeah.
Yeah.
Super special.
And that's at 6.
Mhm.
29th at 6, 30th at 3, yeah. And then you mentioned it tonight. That's why I was whispering to Eric, the Harvey Road Bridge. And I saw that was the night I came to my first hearing for my little, Willowwood. The building across the road. Do we put a fire truck over that or not?
Yeah.
That tanker. Did we put that tanker over that or not?
We have.
I don't think we have.
Yeah, we have.
Okay, I just.
We did a grass fire up there.
That truck, I just.
Yeah.
Put one out or
We
start
own the
one?
road to what point? After the
Top of
bridge?
the hill. According to Chris, he measured it out and we go to the.
Cross the bridge?
Across the bridge,
Mhm.
top of
We
the
don't
hill.
own the bridge.
Yeah, that's our bridge.
Terry Thomas rebuilt it for us because he
Right.
wanted to put more weight
We wanted to
across
put
it.
more weight on it, but then something happened and it didn't get certified and
Well, that's my
the weight
question.
never went up.
That's my question there. That's the question I have.
Well, what's his name was crossing it with his crane, right?
No, he don't put his crane across.
He did.
Who?
Okay, Cole,
Go ahead,
go ahead.
Cole.
Cole?
He's got a place over there, but his
He
wife
does.
tells me he don't go over it with his
Well,
crane.
he used,
I don't know.
his,
I don't-
he has a place out in New Haven now where he has a garage, but.
I know we go across it with a loaded tandem, we go across it when we plow, if we have to, normally the Freightliner does that road.
Matt Atkins has been working for
And I
Thomas's up there. Of
Across with the tandem.
course, I went across the bridge 2 weeks ago and I went through it, so.
So there you go.
Oops.
You went through the bridge
And then,
on
now I
Harvey Road?
No, up in Huntington.
mean, you must work, do you have a special clock there? You work 25 hours a day? or
Mhm.
what? Because
Yeah.
I mean, that amount of stuff there is things, and like I said, this is what, our 2nd year we haven't done sidewalks?
Mhm.
And when I ask, you say, I just don't have the time. I get that. You are busy. And I don't know where the balls juggle, which ones you grab quicker or.
The ones that require, like, capital plan, water ordinance revisions that I hadn't planned on. Yeah, a lot of the things.
The ones
keep
that
coming
we're
up.
jumping on, screaming about, wanting to
Uh-huh.
move forward, yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
And I would really like you to reconsider, because we used to have an old policy, not a policy, kind of a unwritten policy was, if like Garfield Street's got one brand new sidewalk on the south side,
Mhm,
we try to do sidewalks.
mhm,
If only a street like Maple Street or West Pleasant only has one sidewalk,
mhm.
we try to keep, wasn't that kind of what we did, Peter, for years?
Yeah.
Try to do two sidewalks.
Or
two
the,
on one
or
street,
the worst.
or the worst, we try to do.
Right.
So I just want you to reconsider West Pleasant,
Oh, yeah.
that down through. there's
Well, I
pretty bad.
had tried, I solicited input from the Bike Ped Committee and with the inventory work that the Regional Planning Commission did, which was really good information, and that's partly why Garfield Street rose to the top. And the end towards Mountain Street is really,
On the
really,
north side.
yeah, as real,
There's
east
no
side.
sidewalk on the south side of that far, is there?
Yeah, there is.
It's in really rough shape.
It's kind of
And,
narrow right there.
Anyway, so that's
Okay.
why, but you know, it's a list, it can be rearranged and defined and, you know, this length or this length. I was trying to measure the length with my little wheelie thing in there, but then I got sidetracked.
I got a bigger one, really one. Just taller. Okay,
So can I
that's
just bring up something for you guys? I know everybody has an assignment as a liaison between these committees. Nobody seems to be involved with these except one person. Everybody, you know, I go to every meeting, I attend every, whether it's Zoom or in person, and everybody refers to Ian as the one they're going to. Shouldn't be only one person. It should be who's assigned to that committee or commission. Because there's a lot of things these people do where I open my big mouth and stop. You know, and you gotta be aware of what's going on with some of these things. You guys better keep on top of this equity thing. Don't let it get out of control. DEI has been shown to be bad situations throughout the country. Don't let them take you over. Check everything that they do, but I'm on camera, I know that. What I'm saying is, it's just something you gotta keep an eye on. You know, we do not have a problem in this town. Something like this could create a problem in this town.
Thank you, Jimmy. I mean, Digger has public works, I have water and sewer.
I go to-
We talk almost daily.
I go to Peter all the time on my stuff. That's good.
I can show you text messages from 6 o'clock this morning when we started it.
I hear what you're saying, and I mean, Michelle has. rec
I have
and-
zoning and
Rec.
revolving loan fund.
Yeah, don't you have rec too? Don't you have rec?
That's just.
I think
Yeah,
Jessica has.
Just.
You got the bicycle pedestrian committee, you got, energy, what else you got?
Open.
Equity Conservation Commission.
Okay,
Yeah.
Planning
and
Commission.
then my last thing was, and I forwarded to, I got an email from Vermont Gas the other day. From the vice president of Vermont Gas about where we stand with the pause, as he put it in his email. And I called Valerie and talked with her about it, and I sent him off and said, you should talk with our town administrator, Valerie, about this, and not me, so.
Okay.
That's,
Yeah, there's no action there.
there's no action there, it's just, so that's all I have.
Plus was at their request.
That's all I have. Any other business?
Just a quick update on what you can look forward to coming up at on the August 12th. It's gonna be another honker of an agenda. An important item is going to be a proposal to update the water rates. And this is important to get done before the billing in September. And this is going to be equivalent unit or equivalent residential unit structure. And Justin had done quite a lot of work on this. And somehow we have to bring it forward with a proposal and hopefully adopt it in August. Also, the MERP presentations of the energy assessment reports. The capital plan public hearing, which I hope we'll have some really good discussion about that. We're still working on the revisions to the water use ordinance. But you know, it's had to take a side seat for a little while, so that won't be ready until probably September or so. The question about whether to adopt a noise ordinance, there hasn't been time on the agendas to bring that back up. Then there's the livestock running at large ordinance that Jessica took a crack at. And the unified development regulations public hearing that we need to hold for the November vote. I haven't connected with Sharon yet to work back the schedule, the timeline of what the deadlines are. going back from November into October and September for when things need to happen. To that would inform when the select board needs to have its next public hearing on those changes to the regs.
I'm sorry, I skipped over 13.
That's okay.
Town
It's,
administrator report, not
it's-
other correspondence. You're
So
talking-
for the-
So that was it. right?
Yeah, that
Okay,
was it.
sorry.
Just giving my heads up on, and then there's in my report, I try to keep a list of stuff
Right.
coming up, and so those are just some of the highlights, but it's a long list.
For the water rates,
Yeah.
Justin did work on that, but he also worked with Chris and I think
Yeah.
Sharon.
Yeah,
Are they involved in that in terms of that next discussion?
we haven't talked about that yet.
Okay.
I think so.
Okay, I mean, given that Chris worked on it before,
Right,
and I don't know if we're gonna be able to have Justin available.
no,
It seems like we need to get somebody else involved who was working.
yeah, I believe they were working together.
Yeah,
I just don't
got
know
that
to what
impression
degree.
too, yeah.
So that's all I have.
Any other, now any other business of correspondence for us? The order.
No.
Do we have an executive session?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
It was just tentative,
Just throwing this out, do we? I mean, it was a long meeting, and it's a little over 3 hours. I know it's Peter's schedule is the worst one because of his gravel pit.
Mm.
So maybe we could slow the truck traffic down if we started at 6:30 more often. What's your thoughts? Michelle, you get out of work, you have to race home or whatever. Just your
Either work
thoughts.
late and come right here, or I race home, throw something in my mouth and come back down.
We'll be out here for,
No, we're not always out of here.
no,
then.
we're not, but.
So
I'm just saying.
sometimes when we start earlier, we just
Well,
go
I
later.
mean, I mean, I'm,
Start at 5:30 like we do.
my practice has always been I start and I go until I'm done. And
Okay.
so I expect that here, but I do get punchy around 9:30, 10 o'clock.
Well, right.
And I did it
About
early,
7:10.
I did it early tonight so that I didn't have to save it.
Okay,
Got it out of your system.
I'd entertain a motion to.
Well, I
adjourn.
didn't wanna be,
Just think about it.
Yeah.
I think we,
I didn't wanna be
especially winter time.
pissy through the whole
Right.
meeting, so.
No, partly I asked for it to be later or earlier, whatever it was before, but that's less of an issue now with my kids being older. I don't mind starting earlier. I mean, even 6 if it's possible, if people wanted to do that, just because we do go so late.
6 doesn't give me time to get a shower.
Okay.
And you
Should we
don't
say-
want,
should
you
we
don't
say
want
wanting
me
to
coming,
shower?
you don't want me
We
coming here
say,
and
we say the
showering.
half an hour, but also more importantly, I just want consistency. I don't want people missing the
I
meeting
agree.
because it's like, well, 6:30 and it was 7, so. Yeah.
We've been the last 3 or
Yeah, we've
2 or
been
3
really
meetings.
good. And sometimes we start with an executive session, so I think we need better consistency with that. I know it's difficult, but just so people know.
Okay, so I entertain, and
So
a
moved.
motion to adjourn.
Second.
The motion is second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Peter, you opposed? Adjourn? No. Thank you, guys.
I'm just tired, sore, and.